Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. How are you doing? Happy hump day. It's Wednesday, the middle of the week. We're almost at the stretch for you guys. I hope everyone is going well and doing well. I hope you're also having good weather. The weather out here in New York has been crazy. Like 1 minute we had like 70 degrees weather. I'm like, oh yeah, we moving into spring, summer. And I don't even like summer, but I definitely love the transition between spring and summer. But now we drop right back into like winter spring temperatures. It's like 48 degrees yesterday, 51 degrees. It's raining and glooming. It doesn't want to make up its mind. It doesn't want to make up its mind. But I hope everything is going well with you good folks. I really do. And shout out to all my first person that's come here. Hi, Miss Jalen. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Joanne, how are you, darling? It's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. I hope your Wednesday is going well. Hey, Michelle 69, you've been able to make it. How are you? I hope you had a lovely Wednesday. Let's see. No, mama. No, I didn't cut my hair. It's in a high ponytail. It ain't cut. I didn't cut it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. No, thank God. No, I didn't cut my hair. Nah. I think right now my hair is literally like down my back, like to the middle of my back. Once it gets by my butt, then I'm gonna cut it. But right now I'm not cutting it. I don't want to cut it. Yes, it's cold. It's like 52 degrees. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what is going on here? Why is it 50 degrees? And here we are about this like hop, skip, and jump in June in a couple of days. Like, what's going on? I don't know. I really don't know. Oh, you cut your hair? Oh my goodness. Well, Miss Jalen, you know I know you. You have very, very long hair to go down in your butt. So I understand why. That's why I said when my locks get down to my butt, that's when I'm gonna cut it. But right now it's in the middle of my back. It's annoying a little bit, but it's all right. It's okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Why are you keep on coming in here talking about LeBron or Kobe? I prefer Kobe. I do. I prefer Kobe. But anyway, so I have 3 cases for you guys. Make sure you're hitting the like button while you're coming in or just to say hi. I know y'all have a busy day. It's a work day. It is what it is. But I do have 3 cases for you, and I hope that you enjoy it. Please also share this out to anyone who likes the commentary or likes these type of reviews of these cases. Shout out to Red Tree Stories and Beyond Evil. Those are 2 of the channels that I do enjoy their video essays. They're very clear and direct, and they're easy to dissect certain things. So shout out to them because I will be using some of their videos for today. All right. So the first video that I have for you guys is when a victim actually becomes the mastermind. So it seems like there was a victim who came in with a situation that occurred, and more into the interrogation, they realized that this person was actually the mastermind, or I would say the puppet master for why everything transpired. So we're going to take a look at that, and let me go ahead and pull this up, and here we go.
We have covered hundreds of police interrogations on this channel, and usually the suspect being interrogated doesn't ask for a lawyer. Well, in today's video, 20-year-old Shaniah Moore is about to talk with the police about a murder they believe she was involved in, and she will have her lawyer at her side.
Okay, we all set?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay, so just so you're clear, everything that we're talking about right now is, being recorded. Okay, so if you could do me a favor when you're explaining, what we're going to be talking about today, if you could just speak as clearly as possible. I know sometimes people, I understand you're probably nervous, so sometimes you have a tendency to speak quickly, but try not to do that. Okay, and just and speak so we can hear it, like I said, because it's being recorded. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously we're here for an interview. Today's date is May 28th, 2021. Present for the interview is Shaniah Moore and her attorney, Christopher Schemke.
Yes, P74025.
Okay. And I know that you obviously have had advice of, from your attorney for quite some time, but I'm going to just advise you of your Miranda rights, okay?
On March 13th, 2021, the police found the body of 32-year-old Henry Ross, filled with bullet holes, sitting in a crashed vehicle. It appeared that it may have been a robbery gone wrong because $250 in cash was missing from Henry's wallet. The police checked Henry's phone and found that he had been messaging Shaniah on Facebook prior to his death. In the messages, Shaniah asked Henry if he would take her on a date and told him that he could meet her at an apartment complex, which, coincidentally, was where the murder took place. When the police confronted Shaniah about the messages, she denied any involvement, but 2 weeks later, she agreed to turn herself in with her lawyer present.
So I'm just going to kind of lay it out for you and just say, why don't you tell me what you know about the events of March 13th, 2021, and the death of Henry Ross. Try to speak up, okay?
Me and Melvin Willis, we planned to rob Henry Ross.
Okay.
I directed him to come to the back of the apartments, and we talked briefly for like maybe a second. Melvin Willis walked up and just shot him. I ran out the gate. We met up the next morning.
Good to see you. I hope you're having a good Wednesday.
That we were going to be in trouble. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. He told me to keep my mouth shut or he was going to hurt me as well. So, I remained silent.
Okay. So,
Shaniah claims that she and her boyfriend Melvin Willis planned to rob Henry Ross. Shaniah told Henry to pick her up for a date, and when he arrived, Melvin shot and killed him. Shaniah claims she didn't tell anyone because she was scared of Melvin, but the detective isn't buying this story.
How do you know that it was Melvin Willis who was the shooter? Explain to me how you know that.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. I'm glad he's asking her that. Like, how did you know that this particular guy was the shooter? And if you didn't speak to anyone explaining that you was meeting up with someone for a date, then how did they know to pinpoint to ambush this person? If you're the only person that's supposed to know that information, you and the person that you're supposed to be going on a date with, then unless y'all are actually being followed or someone was following you from your home, you had to give that information out. And then to specifically say that you knew who this particular person was, what's the connection? Do that person know him? Did that person have beef with this guy before, prior? Is he related to you? Were you in a relationship with him? These are the things that I would want to know, why she's really adamant that this particular person was the one who unalived her date. Let's see. Hey, Brucey, how are you, sir? I hope everything is going well with you this Wednesday. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thank you, Lord. Shout out to you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I truly appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Joanne said, but if she's clever enough to ask for a lawyer, why did she even speak to the police? I think that the lawyer gave her some direction and probably felt that whatever she might have to say is would excuse her for any involvement about it. And he said, yeah, you can go ahead and speak to the police in reference to that. That's what I think would happen. But even in that, that means, that lawyer could have possibly believed that what she said was actually makes sense. I think that's the only reason why he would tell her to go ahead and speak with her. But then you got to also think about it too. He's sitting there with her, right? So she's not that dumb, right? She did get legal counsel, and he's also paying attention to the questions that the detective is saying to her. Now, if he feels that the detective is going to say something that might incriminate his client, he probably will jump in at that point. Let's see. All right. Yep. Let's go on. Let's go on.
Because we planned it together. He was my boyfriend at the time.
Okay. So let's break that down. Now, have you seen the video, or at least seen still shots from the video, or have you seen the video?
I've seen it.
Okay. So is that you on the video?
Yes.
Okay. And that's you in that Thrasher sweatshirt and everything else like that? Okay.
Yes.
So in watching the video, what I see is, Henry backs into that parking spot, right?
Yes.
Okay. And were you on the phone with Henry when he's backing up, or
yes, I was on the phone with Henry still.
Okay. And were you talking with him on like a phone app as opposed to like a normal
yes.
phone number? Okay. So as he's backing in, that's you speaking with him, because you can be seen on the video.
I was speaking with Henry.
Okay. And what was the nature of the conversation that was taking place?
That he just arrived to the place.
Okay. What did he think you were gonna do? Like, I mean, you had it where he was gonna meet you at Ranches of Rosebrook. You direct him to that location in that back area. He backs in. You walk up to the passenger side door. What did he think was gonna happen at that point?
That we were going to go out.
Okay. And then tell me what you see or what happens. Let me ask you this. When did you know Melvin was there?
He ran up on the side of the car.
When did you first see Melvin?
When we got there.
Okay, but did you see, okay. So had you seen when you walked?
No, Brucey, I did not cut my hair. My hair is just in a high ponytail. I didn't cut it. I know a lot of people thought I did cut it. I didn't. It's just in a high ponytail. I didn't want it on my back. But shout out to you, sir. Shout out to you. So with this, I like the question that the detective asked her. When did you notice Melvin when you got with the date? And she said once they got there. So if you knew something about Melvin having an issue with the guy that you're having a date with, or there might be any problems, did you notify the guy that, hey, I see Melvin, or I see his vehicle across the corner or something like that? Did you notify him? So that was a very good question for him to ask her, because obviously she said that she saw Melvin running up on them. So if she saw Melvin running up on them, that means that you had an idea, that you knew that Melvin was there, and you didn't say anything. You didn't say, hey, to my date, let's hurry up and go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see this guy here, like maybe we need to go inside, or whatever we need to do. Like, there might be some problems. You didn't notify him. So let's go on. That was a good question. That really was a good question, because she didn't say one bit about her notifying her date that this Melvin guy was here.
When you were walking up, did you know that Melvin was going to be there as well? Maybe, can you flesh that out for me?
Yes, I mean.
Can you explain to me how that, because all I do is I see you on the video walking up. Tell me what happened right before that. Were you and Melvin in a car nearby, or?
Yes.
Okay, explain that to me.
We waited in the car for a little bit.
Okay, so were you in a car with Melvin in Ranches of Rosebrook?
Yes.
Okay, and which vehicle were you in?
The Expedition.
Okay, is that the one that he drives and it's registered to him and everything? Yes. Okay. Was anybody else in the car with you and Melvin?
No.
Okay. Did anybody else know that this was gonna go down?
No.
Okay. What sort of conversation were you and Melvin having in the car while you're waiting for Henry to show up?
We weren't really talking that much.
Okay. So how did you guys, you guys were going to do a robbery, right? That was your intention?
Yes.
Okay. How did you know what to do? How did you know what Melvin was going to do? All that kind of stuff?
I didn't know. I just...
Hold up. So this seemed like a robbery that went wrong. Apparently, she was supposed to rob her date with this Melvin guy. So now it makes perfect sense why you didn't notify Melvin or notify your date that this Melvin guy was showing up. Because you and this Melvin guy was plotting to rob this dude. So you were pretending to go on a date and that you actually like this dude, you want to get to know him, because you was trying to rob him for his pocket. So now I want to know, how did it lead to robbing him to taking his life? That's what I want to know. Because now the question is, was it intentional, or was it second-degree manslaughter due to robbery, right? Like, at one point you try to rob him, and then he became the aggressor, and he had the upper hand, and then at that point you had to defend yourself, right? That's what I want to know, and that's probably what the detectives want to know, because obviously we see that she's in the jumpsuit, we see that she has been arrested, and now there's a murder, right? So we got burglary is already on her table. What her lawyers there is to try to see if she don't have a murder charge on her. Now it's starting to make sense, because I was going to say that's really diabolical if you didn't know what was going on and you see your ex-boyfriend or something who's crazy, and you see him roll up in the same area where you're dating with your date, and you're supposed to be meeting your date, and then now he gets in the car and you don't notify him like, hey, my crazy ex-boyfriend is coming. No, now it makes perfect sense. You were literally setting this guy up. So you're a setup queen. You're a setup queen. That's what's going on here. Let's go on.
Talked it out.
But what does that mean when you say talked it out? You guys had to had said something that was how it was going to go down. You know what I mean?
Hey, JD.
Like, did you say I'm going to have this man go back to this area? I'm going to walk up to the car, and when I walk up to the car, I want you to come to the other side. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I can't guess. I need to understand how you guys talked about it.
We didn't really talk about it. It just...
I think the detective wants to know, like, for example, you and I are going grocery shopping together. I'm going to go over to the produce, get some fruit and vegetables. You grab the steaks. I'll meet you at the front. That's a plan. All right, we had a brief conversation. What are we doing? What's our idea? He just kind of wants to know, what did you guys basically have a plan?
Don't make me send you
That's
to the
just
corner,
to rob him. It wasn't really a plan. It wasn't...
Well, it happened very fast, right? From the time that you walk up to the passenger side of the vehicle to the time that shots were fired was roughly 39 seconds, okay? So when you're walking up, Melvin's going to have to kind of have some idea of where you're directing Henry to go and all that kind of stuff.
Even though Shaniah is cooperating with the police, the detective is having a difficult time getting information out of her. This is most likely because Shaniah is doing her best to look like a victim. What the detective is doing is trying to show that Shaniah was just as involved as her boyfriend was.
So Melvin walks up, right? Okay.
Yes.
And I guess what I'm asking is, like, when in the sequence of events did you know that you knew a robbery was going to take place, but did he say, hey, go up to the passenger side and I'll do it then? Did he say, just sit there and talk to him and distract him and I'll walk up and try to rob him? That's kind of what I'm getting at, I guess what I'm saying is, how did Melvin know that it was going to happen at that moment, as opposed to you just getting in the car with Henry and Henry driving off?
He didn't know. He just did it. I didn't get a chance to do anything.
Okay. Did you suspect that Henry was going to have some money, or what was the intent? What were you guys hoping to rob, hoping to get from him?
Just money.
Okay. Had you had any sort of discussion with Henry about, like, did you have some sort of some idea of what he might have, like, based upon what your plans were, or...
Yeah, she's trying her best to not criminate herself anymore, but I'm going to tell you it's not going to work, due to the simple fact that you're already admitting that you was trying to get money from this guy. So that means that you did plot out to rob this person with this Melvin character. There was something about this man that made you believe that he was a good subject for you to rob, right? You're not sitting up there robbing no bum out on the street who's asking for $1, right? You're specifically robbing this person because you know that this person might have something. You have an idea. You had conversations with him. You have to have some conversations with this guy if he's supposedly supposed to be taking you on a date, right? So for you to act like you wasn't having any conversations with him, and then for you to say that you and Melvin was supposed to rob this guy, but then you want to act like you didn't have any conversations with Melvin about robbing this guy is ludicrous. It does not make any sense. You literally, when you're robbing someone or you're trying to commit burglary, there is a plan. Even if it's lackluster, even if it's sloppy, it doesn't matter. There is a plan, right? So let's see what else she has to say. Is not going to work, but yeah.
I mean, did it matter to you if you got $50 or $200 or $1,000? I mean, did you have some idea in mind about what he might have in his possession?
Yeah.
I said the word incriminate.
Why?
Let me say something. Okay.
Why did you come to that conclusion?
Moderators, if anyone comes in here thinking that they're going to be disrespectful to me or any one of you guys, you have my permission to block them and hide them for the channel, okay? I'm not playing with you guys today, all right? You can go troll someone else. I'm not with it. Today, I'm tired. Let's go on.
Conclusion.
I don't know.
No, basically, he wants to know, all right, this guy's coming up. Now the plan is to rob him. Now you figured he had some money on him. Did you and Henry ever have a conversation about money, or were you under the impression that he would have money on him?
Yeah, he would have money
so
on him.
What the text wants to know is, how did you know he was going to have money on him?
Because we were taking me out.
Hey,
Okay,
Royce,
so you figured he'd have some cash on him because he was
child.
going to take you out.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys were supposed to have, like, dinner and whatever else.
Yes.
Okay. So you walk to the back of the vehicle. Do you see Melvin at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you, just tell me what you see happen. Tell me what happened right at that moment.
They shot him.
Okay. What happened before that? So did they have a conversation? Where was Henry and where was Melvin when this is all taking place?
Henry was in his car.
Okay. Was he in the process of getting out of his car?
Yes.
And why was Henry getting out of the car?
He said he had to take a piss real quick. That's what he said.
Okay. And so Henry's in the process of getting out of the car and you see Melvin walk up to Henry, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And does Melvin have a gun in his hand as he walks up to Henry?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you see Melvin do with that gun?
He shot Henry.
Okay. What happened right before that? Is there an exchange of words as you kind of described before?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me who said what.
Melvin said...
You can find this one on Red Tree Stories.
Henry said, what shit? And he told Melvin he was going to have to shoot him.
Okay. And so Henry said to Melvin, you're going to have to shoot me? Okay.
When Melvin pointed the gun at Henry and demanded he give him his money, Henry told him if he wanted his money, he would have to shoot him. It goes without saying that you can't put a price.
Yes, we do preach that here, Arnelio. I think I'm saying it incorrectly. I hope I am. Yeah, we preach that here. Don't talk to them. But you see, she do have legal counsel. And even in that, I would definitely say, he should have told her, like, like calm it down a little bit. Oh, you can't get over her being there. Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for being your first time here. So what I like to do is we like to review some of these cases. We like to go over the interrogation process about what the detectives is trying to get out of potential suspects for particular cases. And then sometimes we also get a glimpse of what is actually happening in the trial. So I can give you the perspective of what the prosecutors are going for, and also what will be the counter attack from the defense team in these particular cases. So we like to go over a whole lot of things, as well as the psychology of everything that's going on. Shout out to you, Sierra. Okay. All right, let's go on. Let's see what else she has to say.
On a life, and what Henry should have done is just handed over his money, because you can always earn more later. If he had done this, perhaps he would still be alive.
Was Henry completely out of the car at this point?
No.
So he was kind of like, if I'm Henry and I'm seated in the car, is he kind of like getting out?
Yes.
And you saw that happen?
Yes.
Okay, and then when Melvin has the gun and Henry sees the gun, does Henry kind of retreat a little bit back into the car to like sit down?
Yes.
That's that. Okay. And then Melvin basically says to him, "Give me your money." Is that right?
Yes.
And then Henry says, "You're going to have to shoot me?"
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and then what did you see after that?
Melvin shot him.
Okay. Did you see what we describe as a muzzle flash, where the gun gets fired and you can see like a spark coming out of the front of the gun?
No.
Okay. As soon as the first shot was fired, what did you do?
I stood there for a second.
Okay. Because on the video we can.
Now, I was just about to ask, where was she when all this happened? Because the first time when she was explaining it to the detectives, she said that she got in the car and Henry went to go use the restroom. At that time, when Henry is going back to the car, Melvin is kind of like rolling up on them. So I was thinking that she was still in the car. She's now saying that she was outside of the car. So even when she was outside of the car, if once Henry said, "I'm not going to be giving you my money unless you're going to have to shoot me, blah, blah, blah," and Melvin said, "Well, I'm going to have to shoot you," if you didn't want this to become a deadly situation instead of just a armed robbery, when did you tell Melvin, like, "Hey, what are you doing? You know what? It's not worth it," or anything like that? So like that's where the detectives is trying to find out where was her mindset with the whole thing. She's making it seem like she was so shocked, but you weren't so shocked. Once your plan of just robbing him went south because he wasn't going to give you the money unless unless you shoot him or you scrap him for it, then where was the whole, okay, let's run off of Melvin, this is not where we wanted it to go, let's dip and run. No, she didn't do any of that. So it's crazy. Let's go on.
You can see the casing, which is when the gun is fired, the casing kind of gets ejected, and you can see it kind of like fly over your shoulder. I don't know if you see that. So you were pretty close. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So after Melvin fires the first shot,
I did not say
what happens after
X. I said
I
ask.
think he fired a second one.
Okay.
And I ran.
Jerks. Like Jesus.
So you think he fired a second one? Do you know how many shots total he fired?
Bye.
No? Okay.
Good riddance. Bye.
So then, so you ran, right? Okay. And where did you go?
Home.
Okay, so you went to Hawthorne. You live on Hawthorne, right?
Parkwood,
I'm sorry. Okay, and then do you know right away, do you know where Melvin went?
He went home.
Okay.
The detective asks Shaniah if she knew Melvin was going to use a gun to rob Henry. At first, Shaniah claims she has no idea what was going to happen, but then her lawyer tells her just to be honest because it will benefit her in the end.
So is it your statement today that you didn't know exactly how Melvin was going to rob Henry? You just knew that the robbery was going to take place, but you didn't know like what sort of weapon was going to be used in order to make the robbery happen?
Yes.
Okay. Might be a sticking point, but I just want to make sure because this is important that you're completely honest about everything. So,
if you don't know, you don't know. That's okay. We want to make sure that you're not saying anything. There's no point right now. You're giving an interview. This is the time that we tell 100% the truth. If you didn't know there was a gun, then you didn't know. If you did know, then you could say so. But if you don't know, one's telling you to read a script, just be honest.
I did know.
You did know?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you say you did know that Melvin had a gun, how did you know?
Because I've seen it.
Did you see it in the vehicle before the robbery?
Yes.
When you were with Melvin?
Yes.
So, I mean, this is not technically, I know what her lawyer is saying, but that really doesn't help her even more, right? Because the simple fact, you knew that Melvin was going to bring a weapon to rob this guy. You knew that he already had a weapon prior to you meeting up for this guy, this Henry guy, for a date. So what else are you going to use the weapon for outside of just scaring Henry, right? You're literally threatening Henry bodily harm with a weapon for him to give up his money, right? Like, to me is not really going to help you. I mean, the only thing that would probably help her is that she wasn't the one to pull the trigger, right? But if they find out, which the detective is leading up to, if they find out that you was in on the whole entire thing, and then on top of that, you didn't do anything to save Henry's life, right? And that's another thing too, right? If it was just supposed to be an armed robbery and you were supposed to get the cash, and you didn't know that Melvin was supposed to lose, not Melvin, Henry was supposed to lose his life, then why didn't you render him aid? Why didn't you call 911? Why didn't you do anything? You just get scared, like, oh my God, okay, we got to get out of here, but we got the cash anyway. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make you look good. It's not going to paint a good look for you, regardless, if you go to trials. It's not. Definitely ain't. Let's see. Yes, you do, Bruce. You have the permission to boot whoever you want to. None of that goes on here. Yeah, you know my rules, and I appreciate you, Bruce. Let's go on.
Okay. So once again, I know that, you know, we talked about going grocery shopping, and he says, you know, go get the steak, and, you know, I'll go get the baked potato or whatever else. Other than you guys knowing the robbery was going to take place, you discussing with Melvin that you guys were going to do a robbery, you knowing that Melvin had a gun, and Melvin knowing that you're going to be directing Henry to this location so that Melvin could rob him, you know, while you're there with Henry.
Yes.
Did you guys discuss any other details about how this was going to go down?
No.
Okay. Prior to you and Melvin ending up in Ranches of Rosebrook and waiting for Henry to show up, and you're sitting in Melvin's car, what sort of discussion did you have with Melvin leading up to it? You know what I mean? Like,
we barely said 2 words to each other.
Okay. How did Melvin know that the plan was to have Henry come to Ranches of Rosebrook? Did you guys have a phone conversation and you basically said, hey, I got this guy coming from the Detroit area, Henry, you know, whatever else, and I'm having him meet me over at Ranches of Rosebrook, and so this is where this is going to go down? Was it something along those lines?
Yes.
Okay. But you told him specifically Ranches of Rosebrook to Melvin?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you pick that location?
I don't know.
Okay.
Shaniah's original story was that they planned on taking Henry's money, but that's all she knew. Now that she is being honest and more evidence is being brought to light, it appears that Shaniah may have been the mastermind behind the whole thing.
You know, we obviously looked in your phone and you ended up...
So this is a prime example of a lawyer a lawyer not really giving a fuck about their client, because he should have had known once she admitted that she was the one who picked the location. That means that you was more a part of planning this robbery. It wasn't just a talk, hey, I met some guy and he's going to take me out, and, you know, if you want to just stop by and, you know, see if we can get some money out of him because he was going to take me out on a date, you could just come and stop by. It wasn't like that. You literally picked the location. That means you had Henry drive there because you was waiting, because you knew Melvin was in the cut. Like that yeah, it's not gonna help you. This is definitely that was an L right there, big time. And it's so bad because her lawyer is just sitting there typing away. He's just typing away, and he's letting her literally bury herself. Literally, he's letting her bury herself. I mean, he did tell her to be honest, right? But, you know, it's under the honesty that she's giving is letting the detective know that she wasn't just you know, oh, I was just a what's the word? I was just part of a crime, right? I was part of a crime. I knew the guy. I didn't know that this was going to happen, and it turned out this way. No, she's letting them know that she was a setup queen. That's exactly what she was. She was a straight setup queen. Joanne said, I'm not feeling softness for her. I'm a sucker sometimes, but I am no longer caring about her freedom. I hear you. I definitely do. I hear you, because she knew that, she knew exactly what she's doing. She picked the damn location. Not even Melvin picked the damn location. Miss Jalen, she's laying on her pillow under my chair. Oh, you talk about the baby. Oh, okay. Yes, Miss Jolin, she was the mastermind. Yes. SBE is admitting premeditation. Yeah. Yep. It's crazy. Probably a shitty public defense lawyer. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. She was so crafty. Yeah, it's whew. Yeah, he really did throw her under the bus. Yeah, absolutely. He really did. Do not go with the objection, Ms. Jalen. No objection now. This is not your client. She already has a lawyer there. He's not doing his job. You can't take it over. No. Let's go on.
Even Googling the address for Ranches of Rosebrook. Do you recall doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Was just to pick an address to give to Henry?
Yes.
Okay. Now, be honest with us, please. Was part of the reason why you chose Ranches of Rosebrook because you were aware of this like back area, which was kind of secluded and that sort of thing?
No, I just knew that it was just be quiet over there, so I just.
Okay.
That is true.
Okay. I'll get to some of the text messages before we're done.
How are you?
So after the shooting, and once again, and I want to be fair here, it was only your understanding.
Box office.
It was only, okay, yeah, that's fine. It was only your understanding with all of this that you and Melvin were going to rob Henry. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't know that Melvin was going to shoot Henry. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't want Henry to die?
No.
Okay. I'm asking it. Okay. So afterwards, there's a ton of calls between you and Melvin that night, right?
Yes.
And some of them are pretty long.
I agree. I don't
in
think
duration.
Henry is her first victim.
Tell me about some of the conversations that you were having with Melvin at that point. It was probably a pretty scary situation for you, right? Is that fair?
Yes, I was telling him that I was scared. I was throwing up, and I didn't want to be at home.
So what is Melvin telling you while you're on these phone conversations with him that night?
He was telling me that everything's gonna be okay, and I said no, it's not, because it's all gonna fall on me. Me and this guy have been talking for a while, and he has a picture of me in his phone.
Did he tell you what sort of things you needed to do to try to protect yourself from that? From the potential evidence and that sort of thing?
Yes.
What did he tell you to do?
To get a new phone.
Okay. And did you get a new phone?
No.
Okay, why didn't you do that?
As soon as I was leaving, the detective came to my house.
Okay, the next day.
Good to see you. I hope you're having a great day today.
Did he tell you to delete things or anything like that, like from your phone, or because there were some deletions that took place?
Yeah, he told me to get rid of the app.
Which app are you referring to?
The phone app.
Okay.
And deactivate my Facebook.
Okay. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So then it's my understanding that you didn't physically see Melvin until the next day?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you see him?
He came to my house.
Okay, so he came to the Parkwood address?
Yes.
Okay. Was anybody else present when he came over?
No.
Just you and him? Okay. And what did you guys talk about?
I just was telling him that I was scared and stuff, and he told me that I was going to be fine. And I said, no, it's not, because me and Harry have been talking for a little while, and he has a picture of me in his phone.
Y'all can't see it because the video is a little small, but when she just said that, she's looking directly at the camera while she's talking to the detective. She's not even looking at the detective right now. I paused it when she's actually looking at the camera, right? So she's looking at what she said being recording. And what I also wanted to point out is she kept the phone. So Henry instructed her to get rid of the phone. She didn't get rid of the phone. You know why she didn't get rid of the phone? Because she wanted to leave evidence about Henry plotting it that was going to also benefit her. She didn't want to get rid of the phone. She kept it because there was probably other evidence of what Henry might have done before and that she knows information about that she wanted to use to help her situation. She like this also that also leads to her being a mastermind and probably being the one who plotted everything out, because here you are, you're making sure that you're protecting yourself even though you and Henry is supposed to be doing this whole shisty, robbery thing together. Like, this is crazy. And then she said that she was nervous and she was scared. No, she ain't nervous and scared. Not when you sitting up there saying, oh, Henry had pictures of me from a week before. So that's also shows premeditated, because you was talking with Henry for more than just like one day. Wasn't like some like first day type of situation. You was actually having a conversation with this guy, getting to know this guy from quite some time. He has a picture of you. So like that doesn't help her situation. And the lawyer is just sitting up there like, that's all I see the lawyer do. He's like, it's crazy. Oh, she has a horrible lawyer. She has a horrible lawyer. Oh my God. Lola said this ain't her first rodeo and she knew he had a weapon. Now she has a charge of destroying or tampering with evidence. Yes, absolutely. You could definitely tell this is not her first rodeo. It seemed like she'd possibly been a stick-up queen for quite some time for other men and also getting money from it. But the DT told her he was recording her. Yeah, but she still looked up there like she was crazy because she's looking at the like this, I guess, because she's trying to see if what she says does make it seem like she was nervous, and she's trying to paint it truly as Henry was the mastermind. But every question that the detector asks her about, well, I would say ask, right? Because I don't want the ask people to come up in here. She said ask. No. Ask her, hey, what was your involvement? What do you know? What did Henry tell you? What did you do? He keeps on asking her those type of questions because you were involved and you've been plotting this out for quite some time with this other guy, Melvin. At least I say about 4 days. I think y'all been plotting this. I don't even think this is the first time that she even went out with Henry. This doesn't really seem like a first date situation. It seemed like this is like a second date situation, because Henry was comfortable to go to this new spot and location with you that he doesn't know, and you're the one who picked it, right? So that shows type of comfortability, because even when you go on first dates with guys, right? When you go on first dates with guys that they don't know you from a hole in the wall, most of the time guys pick locations, unless they're creepy or a criminal themselves. They will pick locations where they're comfortable at, or where nobody else can spot them, depending if you're like a sneaky link. They are very strategic where they take you out at, right? So for him to be comfortable for you to, pick the location where you was going to meet up and go out, that tells me that you had conversations with him. You was building a relationship with this person. That's what it tells to me. So let's see what anybody else says. Bruce said, good catch, MJC. Batman, not Batman. Yes, the lawyer is too quiet. He's just typing away, isn't he? Perfect demonstration. Yeah. Dark always come to light. I agree, Lola. I agree. A lot of these people keep souvenirs when they do their crimes. That's some wicked stuff too, right? Yeah, I'm always going to be myself. I can be kind of quirky. It is what it is. Don't worry about asking or axing. Thank you. Thank you, Joanne. Unlike it here. I hope I can come back. Oh, thank you very much, Sierra. Have a good day. Thank you. If y'all can't understand the detective, you can't speak English. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, no problem. Let's go on.
And he said,
Henry had a picture of you, right?
yeah, he told me, just to keep quiet, and if I said anything, it hurt me.
How did he say that to you?
He just told me don't say anything or he'll hurt me.
Was that something that surprised you from him, or had he been violent towards you in the past?
We got into a few scuffles, but I just...
Okay. So when we saw you, we had some detectives that saw you the following day, right?
Yes.
And that's when we took the phone and everything else.
Yeah.
Did you have a conversation with Henry after that about, Melvin, after that, about the fact that the police had interviewed you and taken your phone and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I had to call him off a different phone.
Okay. And how did that conversation go?
I told him that the detectives took my phone, and he just, I don't know, he
I'll
hung
say
up,
lazy.
and we haven't spoken
Definitely
since
lazy.
then.
Next,
smart.
the detective wants to talk about a phone call between Shaniah and Melvin after the murder took place.
Okay, so when you had, this is the part of the jail call where Melvin gets on the phone, okay? And I'm going to read it, and he says, and tell me if this is all accurate, okay? He says, I got you too, okay, I love you. You say, I love you too. He says, hey, I heard what happened. You have a response that's unclear. I don't know if I expect you to remember that part, but he says, I heard what happened, and you say, oh, he said, you said what? And then you start crying, and then you say, why would you, is this when you said, why would you do this?
Yes.
Okay, and what are you referring to when you say, why would you do this?
Ask him, why did you shoot him?
You didn't ask him that directly, but that's what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay. And then he doesn't respond directly to that question. He says, you okay though? And you say, no, I'm not okay until I get out of here. He says, okay, be strong. And you said, I am. He says, what's your attorney talking about? Like, what's the plan? Do you agree with all of this so far?
Yes.
Okay, and then you have an unclear response. He says, okay. You said, I'm getting out Thursday. I'm going to be on tether. He says, all right, talk to you soon, okay? You say, okay, and he said, hold on, here's my mom. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. But you mentioned that you felt at this point in time with that conversation that was another example where you felt like you were just kind of out on an island?
Yes.
Okay. Why? I'll just ask you. I mean, from the get-go, especially once it was clear that you were in trouble, why didn't you come forward with the information about Melvin being the shooter?
Because he was still out there. No, he said he was gonna hurt me. I didn't want to be involved, so I just stayed away.
Okay. Is it fair also that, maybe were you protecting him also because, you weren't sure how strong our case was against you and him? Is that fair?
No, I knew because of the messages that y'all had.
Okay. So you're saying it was in large part because of a fear of him and what he might do?
Yes.
Okay. Was it also, and I'm not trying to upset you, but it's clear that you really liked him.
Yeah.
So did you feel a sense of loyalty to him?
Yes.
Okay. This robbery that went down, had you done something like that with Melvin before?
No.
No?
Shaniah claims that this is the very first time they had ever set anyone up to rob them, but that is a lie. It turns out that
No, absolutely. That is a lie. 100%. She's lying right there. This you have done this numerous of times. She said that she and Melvin used to fight all the time, even physically. So the simple fact that you're talking about you were so scared and all the stuff like that, you had a point where you admitted that y'all had a toxic relationship. There were fights, actual physical fights in your relationship, but then you also stayed with him. Then you also admitted that you was the one who planned out the location to do this with this new fellow, Henry. You also had the conversation in the text message saying that you was afraid because Henry has pictures of you in his cell phone, right? Like, there's so many things that she's saying that will let me know that she wasn't as fearful of Melvin as she's trying to claim to be with the detective now. You had loyalty with Melvin. Y'all probably worked the area many of times before, right? And now in this situation, because it's a murder, you don't want that murder charge. You don't want the murder charge. So you're trying to, get on out of it, skeet on out of it. And the way that you're trying to skeet on out of it is, I was being controlled by a very controlling, abusive man. And yes, I probably did agree to a robbery, but I didn't agree for anyone to lose their life. And that's what she's leading with. But it's not going to work. I told you, like, she already destroyed her, her case when she said that she was the one who picked the location. She said that. Nobody put that in her mouth. She said that she picked the location. After that, I don't know. I have no clue. Let's go on.
The couple had set up several robberies over the previous months. What the detective needs to do now is show that Shaniah is not just a victim, and that she is a danger to society.
Now, based upon the text messages, it looks to me like it was something that, at least this incident was something that you had thought of. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. What made you come to that conclusion?
I don't know.
Okay. With Henry, that's kind of it's a bold thing to do. Would you agree with that?
Show.
To rob somebody?
Really was.
Yes.
Okay. So what made you think that this was, like, just out of the blue going to be something that might be worthwhile or might work out?
I don't know.
Okay. And keep in mind, I know this might be hard for you to admit to this, but it's really important for anything that happens in the future, okay? Because, like I said, people just don't out of the blue do this kind of stuff, at least typically.
Well, I don't have to answer that.
Well, basically, in the circumstance, it's a big decision. Like, and how did you guys come to saying, like, okay, let's go rob someone? Versus, that's a big choice. Like, you want to go on a big trip, or you plan a bunch of things to make that trip. This is a big life decision kind of thing to do. It's against the law, and there could be ramifications. So it usually isn't spontaneous. So I guess he just wants to know, how'd you guys come to the idea that, yeah, let's
Yeah, this is the prime example when your lawyer or your defense, your public offender, is working with the prosecutors, or they're working with the detectives and not for you. Because even him reframing the question, he's letting her know that random people do not just wake up one morning and be like, "Ooh, I'm just going to go ahead and just commit a armed robbery on someone that, or some random person, and everything's going to go fine, and everything's going to go cool. I know how to do this. I know how to get rid of my phone. I know how to do this." Like, even the planning and the thinking out process is letting them know that they have done this before and they were successful, right? The confidence of her picking out the location, and then she said that she didn't even know why she picked out that location, which I know that's a lie. You picked out the location because that's a location that you probably committed a crime at before and was able to get away with it. Like, detectives or police wasn't able to get there quickly, or nobody comes there. There's not that much visibility. There's reasons why you picked out that location for this to transpire. So this is what her lawyer is explaining to her, that the reason why y'all feel so comfortable to act this type of crime, this type of armed robbery against Henry, yeah, I think his name is Henry, is because you have done it before. You've done it before. He's not helping her. I'm just going to just let you know. He's not helping her whatsoever. The reframing of the question to her is going to literally pin her even more about the situation. Yes. I'm doing 3 episodes today, Brucey. Let's go on.
Let's do this. That it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yes, what?
we did it before.
You had done stuff like that before?
Yeah,
Okay. How many times do you think?
twice.
Twice. Okay. Did anybody get hurt any other times?
No.
Okay. Was it similar set of circumstances where you reached out to some third party, some male, and brought him to a location, and then Melvin committed the robbery?
Yes.
Okay. This particular robbery went down with Henry. There was some familiarity with how to do it because you had done it before.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. As far as your relationship with Melvin, you considered him to be your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. How long had you been dating prior to this incident happening?
Maybe we're on and off, so I mean I knew him since last summer, 2020.
Okay. Did you know him years prior to that or no?
No.
Okay.
Just met.
How much of this of what we're talking about today have you experienced?
Oh my God, that was such a good question. That just killed her whole thing all over, because now she said that, oh, did you believe that you was in a relationship with him? Yeah. It was an off and on situation. And then you said last summer. So the recent I guess robberies or stick ups that you have recently did had nothing to do with Melvin, right? So that shows your character that you would do this whether if you was with Melvin or not, which hence make you the mastermind of the situation. You try to throw Melvin as this, you was only doing this because you was a drunk puppy love girl and this guy was manipulating you and coercing you to do this, also being physical with you, and you fear for your life, right? But with that question right then and there, he already showed your character. You were doing this prior to Melvin. You off and on in your relationship, you were still doing this. So it didn't have nothing to do with Melvin. You would have did this if Melvin wasn't even in the picture. Let's go on.
Explain to your mother.
My mom knows.
Okay. Was it because
she knows a lot of things more through me?
Okay.
Because
hey AJ,
I've instructed that everything she says on the phone.
Hey,
so her mom knows too. Her mom is aware of what I know.
Right, fair enough. And I know that she waived the attorney-client privilege, so I'm clear.
So that's where we're at on that. And I want to speak on her behalf. I don't believe that her mother knew the full story.
Okay.
And I don't want to go down the path of speculating what she.
Right.
You know.
I didn't tell my mom, so don't put my mom.
No, I'm not.
Nothing.
Who else knows the details of this? You mentioned that you did say some things to your brother.
Yeah.
Right.
And you don't need to be involved either.
Okay. I'm just asking you who else knows. Okay. Who else knows what happened? Who else did you tell?
My brother that died.
Okay. So that's Tooney.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Okay. Do you know who else Melvin told?
No.
You don't know?
Did he tell anyone? I don't know.
I'm just asking. Did you ever have any three-way calls with anybody where Melvin was, somebody else was part of that call? Where they would know details?
No.
Okay. Do you know where Melvin was earlier that day?
No.
No? Okay. Now, the nature of your relationship with Henry, was that the first time you had ever seen him face-to-face?
Yes.
Okay. How did that whole thing start? Like, did he randomly reach out to you through Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how he even found you?
No. Probably just added me. I don't know.
Okay. And then obviously I saw back and forth, text messages and that sort of thing. And and I kind of saw what led up to it. I don't think we need to get too deep in the weeds with that, but just essentially, when you were in a dating relationship with Melvin, so is it fair to say that you kind of, the flirtation that went back and forth between you and Henry was with your belief that it may result in what happened that night, this robbery that was going to take place?
I mean, we talked way before.
I know, but if you're in a dating relationship, why? I guess I would ask.
Hey, every man talk. I'm not the only woman he talks to. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so you're saying that you didn't necessarily flirt with Henry with the belief that eventually he'd be.
Good question. Very good question. So she met Henry on Facebook Messenger, whatever that dating shit on Facebook. Stay off that shit, right? But she met him off of that. She said that she was heavily head over heels in a relationship, an actual committed relationship with Melvin. So he's asking her, what was the whole point of you reaching out to Henry? Now her stance is, well, I know Melvin out there talking to other women and all the stuff like that. So I'm gonna sit up there and talk to other guys. That's that's not cool, but that's fine, right? If you feel that Melvin's doing that, you want to do it too, that's what y'all do. Okay. But if that's the case, then why would you agree with Melvin? Okay, so these people are sickening. Anyway, so why would you agree with Melvin to commit a robbery on Henry? Because I don't believe that Melvin said, hey, I was talking to Laura, this girl on Facebook, Facebook Live. I was talking to this girl named Laura, and it seemed like she got a cool whip and she might have some money. Maybe you want to help run up on this girl. I don't see him doing that. So you had a conversation with your quote unquote boyfriend about a guy that you're talking to, getting to know, and then you're going to rob him. That is a very good question that he put out to her, because normally if you're cheating or or you stepping out on your significant partner, that's something that you tend to hide unless you're in an open relationship, like one of those open relationship poly craps, whatever, not right. But you usually tend to hide who you're talking to. You wouldn't want your partner to know. But you had a conversation with your partner enough to know that you were talking to this guy on Facebook, and for you to plot to rob this guy and plan the location where you was going to meet up. That, at this point, it's just too easy. It's just too easy to for this woman. It's like her whole case, or any case that she wanted to bring up is going to be over. It's going to be over with the things that she's saying, because like I said, you would hide that. If I don't think Melvin would have been happy to be like, yeah, Melvin, I love you, baby, but you know what? I see this new guy on on Facebook named Henry, and he packing. I don't know, Melvin. He wouldn't be happy to hear that. Let's go on.
Be set up to be robbed, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Not trying to embarrass you, but it's been brought up by your attorney and by other people. Were there times that you were prostituting yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Was this particular time with Henry supposed to be that, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Shaniah claims that she was involved in prostitution to make some fast cash, but somewhere down the line, she realized it was easier just to rob her clients. In her mind, either way she was breaking the law. This also explains how Shaniah knew Henry would have cash on him.
All right, so I'm just going to go through a couple more things, and I think we're good. Am I missing anything so far?
No.
Okay. Why don't we do this real quick? I'm just going to take a short break.
Brucey?
Not even 5 minutes, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I know that we've got people watching, so I have to, full disclosure, obviously, and just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I want to go through couple text messages, a couple, some just briefly through some phone records, and I think we'll be done.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need anything?
No.
Okay. Do you need anything?
No.
Okay. I'll be right back.
The detective leaves the room and comes back 5 minutes later. This time, he wants to talk about the messages between Shaniah and Melvin prior to the robbery taking place.
Okay. So when you say, and this is the day of, you say to Melvin, I got something set up for tonight we can talk about. Something quick and easy, I feel. What did that mean?
The robbery.
So that was, you were going to discuss with Melvin the robbery?
Yes.
Okay. And did you then have a voice conversation with him about the robbery?
It's just kind of like in person.
Okay, was that when you guys met at Ranches of Rosebrook?
Yes.
Okay, so you send this text to him, the text to him saying that, that you got something set up for tonight, something quick and easy. He understood what that meant?
No.
Well, because his response was, okay, where you know him from, how long y'all been talking. So his immediate response is, he's saying something to the effect of, like, that would tell me that when you say, I got something set up for tonight, quick.
Yeah, see, it's a wrap for her. She is done. She's so done. The text messages, her admitting that she picked the location, her now admitting that this is not the first time that she have done something like this with Melvin or without Melvin, even within their off and on relationship. She's cooked. She's really, really cooked. Hi, Rosie. Good to see you. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. Thank you so much. Let's go on.
Quick and easy, and his response is, how long you been talking, that you guys are on the same page, that means that you're going to talk to him later on about a robbery.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yes.
Okay. You said, I don't know him, and then you said he actually looks older than that. I guess I don't understand what you meant by that.
I sent a picture of Henry.
Oh, you sent a picture of Henry to Melvin?
Yes.
Okay. And was that the picture that Henry had sent to you, where he's kind of showing you what he looks like?
No.
A different one?
Yes.
Okay. What was the purpose of you sending a picture of Henry to Melvin? Was that so Melvin knew what the target was going to look like?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was it about Henry that you thought would make him a target?
I don't know.
Was it just a timing thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I did look at some of your old Facebook. We got, that through a search warrant, and you were talking to other people and maybe kind of setting up dates. But what was it? Was it, like I said, you kind of maybe already answered it, but was it a timing issue more than anything else?
Oh my God, this detective is literally killing everything. And her lawyer is just sitting up there letting her just get thrown into the fire. Like, there's no coming back for this. So what the detective is trying to paint out is that her only purpose of going to Facebook Messenger is to find a lick. That is her only reason. So that also goes back to Melvin know that she's on Facebook Messenger looking for a lick. That's why it makes sense as why Melvin said in the text when she said, hey, I got something that's really easy and quick. And he was like, I got you, send me the 411. She sends him the picture of Henry. She picks out the location and the time, lets him know what the time is. Her only purpose on Facebook Messenger is to find a lick that they can rob. So that shows the history and the pattern of everything that led up to this point where Henry lost his life. And she don't realize that because she tried to use, in the beginning, she tried to use that She was on Facebook Messenger talking to other guys because she knows that Melvin was talking to other girls. But like I pointed out, you and Melvin haven't did a quote unquote hit on a woman, right? Y'all have never set up a woman to get her for her money or whatever, her car, or grab her purse or grab her cell phone. You haven't did anything like that. But you have done that numerous of times, more than twice, with Melvin. She is a cook turkey, if I ever seen one. Like, oh my God. Somebody come get her. Her lawyer ain't shit. Cállate. Cállate. Cállate a boca. Jesus Christ almighty. Yeah, this lawyer ain't shit. Yes, he really ain't. He really ain't shit. This girl needs to shut up. Yeah, she too loyal. Oh, what's up, Omni? What up, bro? What the dudes get for being whole dum-dums? What's up, Omni? It's crazy. She's guilty on our charges. Send it to the booty flank mate. Well, yeah, she's definitely guilty. Shout out to you, Kenneth. She's 100%. Not only is she guilty, she is the mastermind. She is the puppet master. If anything, she is the puppet master. Melvin's not the puppet master. Melvin is what you call the muscle, right? He's the muscle. Like, so he's the force behind the plan or executing the plan. But she's the one who's planning all this shit out. It's crazy. Wow. Let's go on.
Or was there something about Henry? Was it because of his lack of familiarity with the Ypsilanti area?
No.
Okay. No. So more of just right place, right time sort of thing?
Yeah, he said he was already coming down to see his brother or something like that.
Okay. At 6:56 p.m., you say he about to come, so I'm going to send an addy, meaning address, right?
Yes.
Okay, out there, but we really don't have nothing planned. Are you referring to that you and Henry don't have anything planned, or that you're reminding Melvin, hey, we don't have anything planned yet, we don't have anything set up?
Yes, I was referring to Melvin.
To Melvin. So you were basically saying, like, hey, we need to get our heads together and figure out how this is going to go down?
Yes.
Okay. And then you say to him, then you not answering the shit is crazy. Were you getting mad at him because he wasn't answering his phone so that you guys could make that plan?
Yes.
Okay. Then you say, you be killing me with that. Were you just frustrated with him?
Yeah.
Okay. And then after the shooting, after the shooting, you sent him a text, babe. And then you say, I'm just finna walk to my cousin, man. Who's that?
My cousin.
Who's your cousin?
Her name's Monasia.
Monasia. Did you go over to your cousins?
No.
No. Why did you tell him that you were going to go to your cousins?
Because I was scared. I didn't want to be at home.
Okay. And to your knowledge, she was back at his apartment over in Stevens?
Yes.
No problem, Bruce.
So then that same night, he sends a text to you and says, babe, be ready. And you said, okay. What's that about?
He was going to come get me.
Okay, did he get you?
Yes.
Okay, so you actually saw him that evening?
Yep.
Okay. Not a huge sticking point, but keep in mind you did tell me that you didn't see him until after. It's okay. You just have to understand that even little details, we need to make sure that we are completely
Yeah, I saw him.
Okay.
Shaniah is caught in a lie, which doesn't look good for her. Initially, she claimed she didn't see Melvin after the shooting, most likely to show that she was afraid of him. But now the narrative changes and she saw Melvin only a few hours after the shooting. Not only that, but they got a hotel and spent the night together.
Where did you see him at?
He came and got me.
Okay. And what did you guys, was he by himself?
Yes.
And what did you guys talk about?
I was scared.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was scared. I was throwing up. I was nervous.
She's lying. She has her hands crossed and she's also scratching her arm. Excuse me. She is completely lying. She is not being forthcoming at all. You were not scared of Melvin. In fact, You try to contact Melvin not once, not twice, but 3 times to see whether or not if this quote unquote hit was going to go down or not. You wrote it in the text messages. See, this is why I can't stand you. This is why I can't stand you. Are we doing this or not? Hello, hello, hello. And then he responded. And then you dropped the addy. You also push for this quote unquote armed robbery that now turned into a homicide. You pushed for it to happen. You was not scared of Melvin. No way in hell. Ain't no way in hell that Melvin had to come and get you to go to the hotel. You know you're in the hotel, y'all talking, y'all smashing, you know what is going down in the hotel. You are not that afraid of him. You're not afraid of him at all. Because there's no way. If you was that afraid of him that you were scared that he was going to kill you, or he said, if you say anything about this, I'm going to kill you. You know, I know where you live. You're not jumping in a car with this person or going into a hotel with this person if you fear for your life of this person. You would literally try to get dodged. You would try to get away from this person as quickly as possible. Shit, in fact, you might even go to the police. Who knows? But you definitely not, oh yeah, I'm so afraid of this person. I'm afraid for my life. Let this person come pick me up and let's go to the hotel with each other. Girl, bye. Ain't nobody believing you, nor do he believe you.
Okay. And what was he saying to you?
She's telling me to calm down. Everything's gonna be okay.
What time was this approximately?
10:34 p.m. on Saturday that night.
Yes, they are asking for the question.
Was it also at that time that he was explaining to you that
that's how they know that she's lying?
I shot him and I thought he was going, thought he had something
Give
and that sort of thing?
A long time ago, Michelle.
I know that you said that he threatened you, but I will say that in your jail letters, some of the reason why, at least what you're expressing to family, is why you're mad at Melvin and why you're kind of fed up with him and why you eventually are doing what you're doing, talking to me today, is because he hasn't reached out to you in any way, shape, or form, hasn't put money on your books, hasn't really shown any sort of loyalty to you. So I just want to make sure that we get that out.
Yes.
Is that part of it too?
Yes.
Okay. What would you say is more the part, the fear or the fact that he just hasn't been loyal? And
both.
Okay.
And I think that's fair. I mean, to look at it, why she didn't come forth first was because of fear, and it had nothing to do with the event. And then, in addition to that, she's going through this process, and because she's not afraid of him right now, she's afraid potentially for her family, which he's in custody. And now it's like, cool, you've abandoned me. I think so. It is. Okay. That would make sense. That it would be both.
Okay. So once again, I know that.
But see, here's the crazy thing about this, what the lawyer just said. She's doing this because she's angry. She's doing this because coming forth, right? Telling her side of everything is because she's the one who's locked up right now, right? And he ain't put no money on her books. He's not answering her messages or her letters that she's sending to him. So she's doing it because he's deciding to cut her off of the situation, and she's sitting in jail, right? But the whole point is, why did you think that this was a good idea for her to come out and tell her story? Like, I mean, as a lawyer, why did you think that that was a good idea to do that? Because what she just did was incriminate herself even more than where she was. Like, this like, is insane to me. Like, you really think that this made her look any better? She was the one who wanted this whole setup to go down. She picked the location. She sent Henry's photos to Melvin. She literally on Facebook Messenger was trying to find the quickest or the first lick that was going to take the bait. All of this came out that nobody knew before. They just knew that it was an armed robbery that went to a homicide, and she was there. But now you brung out all this other detail about this that makes your client head honcho of this whole operation. I don't understand. That's just really bad. Let's see. Sean, how you doing, Sean? He said, I thought the lawyer was the detective. No, that the guy in the suit is her lawyer, and the detective is right here. I think there's only them two here. There's another chair that seems like it's open, so it's just only them. I can't stop staring at his socks. They're crazy. That's something very interesting to pay attention to, Nathan. But I like that. Thank you. Let's see. This gotta be a PD. What do you mean PD? What do you mean PD, Omni? Marie said because the lawyer is shit. Yes, absolutely, Marie. Absolutely. Oh, okay. Well, shout out. Me cool. Shout out to North Korea. I hope everything's well with you. Let's see. By cooperating, she could possibly get less time. Maybe. I don't really see it though. Because before she could have got less time because she wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. It was Henry who pulled the trigger. But now she might get the same amount of time as Henry because she's the one who put everything to play. She was the predator from the beginning. The only reason why she was on Facebook Messenger was to find a quick lick. So that means any person would do, right? It just so happens that Henry was the one who took the bait, you know, and she was able to get him to come down there. But she sent Henry's photo to Melvin. She's in a full relationship with Melvin. She the one who picked the location. She sent the address to Melvin to meet up, told him what time to meet up. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Unless she got a deal that is cooperates, then she doesn't catch a case. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what deal that she's gonna really get. Hey, Naj, how are you? The lawyer never tried to object to anything. He didn't. So I'm hoping that maybe, according to Elisa and what Sean Wiggins said, maybe this interrogation process that we're seeing was part of the agreement to a deal. That's what I'm hoping. If that's the case, then that makes sense that she had already agreed to a deal, and that's why she is freely saying this, saying this information and giving all this extra detail. But outside of that, if that's not the case, that she didn't already have a deal set up, like, listen, I'm going to take secondary manslaughter or whatever, not, and then armed robbery. I'll take those charges. But and this is what happened. This is what really happened. But if that's not it, and she's given all this information, her lawyer cooked her. He cooked her. Like she's more cooked than a turkey on Thanksgiving. Let's see. Lola says that man needs to be disbarred. Yeah, okay, yeah, right. The public defender. Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely thinking that as a public defender. Seriously. Nope, mandatory sentencing. Yep. Testify against old boy. True. Well, let's see what else they have to say. We're already at the end. Let's see what they gave her.
I believe that you've been truthful, but I just want to make sure, even to, like this new information came out about, you guys meeting up immediately after and that sort of thing, which you have to acknowledge you left that out, right?
Lied 2 times already to them.
So everything that we've talked about, because we've probably been talking now for, I don't know, hour and a half, maybe.
What time is it?
It's 11:15.
11:15. So this is your chance, Shaniah. It's super important, okay? And Mr. Shumke, I'm sure would agree that, is there anything, any detail that you left out or minimized?
No, I told the truth on everything.
Okay, because you basically, you built the cake. It's important, but we want to make sure that if there's any sort of icing that needs to go on, we're not missing out. Because all the big stuff, the stuff that's important is necessary, but defense attorney like myself will pick apart your story if there's things left off. And they'll just say, you've lied a little bit, which means you're potentially a liar, and we can't, and then they'll try to convince the jury that your statement isn't credible. That's all he's trying to do, because you've given the stuff that is the most important.
I told the truth so I could sleep at night. I'm not going to keep doing this.
No, I understand. You got to understand that this is important. It's a murder, and we want to make sure we don't miss any. We don't want to miss any details. Okay.
I already feel like the bad guy anyway, so don't do that.
In the end, Shaniah and Melvin would both be charged with murder. Because Shaniah cooperated with the police, prosecution offered her a plea deal. In exchange for her testimony against Melvin, Shaniah would receive 5 to 15 years in prison. This meant she would be eligible for parole after 5 years. Melvin, on the other hand, would be found guilty of murder and receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. What are your thoughts on this case? Did Shaniah get what she deserved? Please share.
So Sean said the lawyer sounds like the police. He's against her. Yeah. I don't think that she got what she deserves. She got a very good freaking deal, though. I'll tell you that much. So Melvin goes to prison. She made, and this is why, you know, it was very fitting to say that she was the mastermind, because she was able to create enough information and detail that even though they know that she was the puppet master that put everything into play, she was able to get a lawyer. She was able she was able to swing it or make a deal before Melvin was able to make a deal. And she only had to do 5 to 15. But do she deserve it? No. She's lucky. She's definitely lucky, but I don't think she deserves it. I think that she deserves 21 years. Probably even a little bit more. Maybe probation after 10 years, but she definitely deserved 21 years. She didn't deserve no 5 to 15. Oh hell no. She lucked out. So that goes to what Sean and Elisa said. She had a plea deal. She had a plea deal that was already on the books, and that's probably why the lawyer was there in the room with her, because there was already a plea deal on the books for her. She just had to just give this new statement. That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, shout out to everyone. Make sure you're hitting the like button. I truly appreciate you. Shout out to all the newcomers that have come into the chat and who have came to the channel. Welcome. I hope you stay. I hope you like. I hope you subscribe. And also share this out to anyone who likes these type of cases that we like to review over here at this channel. So the next case that I have for you, good folks, is a case about Greg. So it seems like Greg is going to have to make a serious decision whether he is going to have life in prison or death. So I want to see how this plays out. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen and we can look at this. Here we go.
On March 27, 2003, a call was made to 911 in Dark County, Ohio.
911 emergency? A little boy just ran to our Head Start, and he said his grandparents are military.
Damian Huffman, who was only 4 years old, had found the bodies of his grandparents in their home, so he ran over a mile to a daycare to ask them for help. The police were immediately dispatched to the scene, where they would find the bodies of Jack and Linda Myers still lying in their bed. The cause of death had been from a shotgun used at close range. The police believed that it had not been a burglary gone wrong. Nothing was missing from the home, and Jack and Linda had been sleeping in their bed when their lives were taken. Outside, the police would find shoe prints leading up to an open basement window. With little else to go on, the police began looking into Jack and Linda's family. Their youngest son, Greg Myers, had been struggling financially, and he was about to be evicted from his home. It turns out that Greg was in line to inherit the Myers farm in the event that Jack and Linda were no longer alive. While the police were searching the surrounding area for the murder weapon, detectives bring Greg in for interrogation. The footage you're about to see was filmed over 20 years ago, so at times the quality can be a little rough.
I think anybody you ask.
So it already seems like we already have the plot of this whole situation. It seems like Greg took the lives of his parents so he can quickly inherit their land, their business, all that, right? All their properties and everything. He didn't want to wait, you know, or he probably, who even knows, right? There could be a possibility that he probably would got cut out of the will due to whatever behaviors or past behaviors that he have done. But it seems like he's the main suspect to have unalived his folks because nothing in the house was stolen. There was no break and entry. Nothing was broken. So somebody had to have access to the house, had to know the surroundings, how to get in, where to maneuver. So yeah, this is it's already turning out crazy, and it seems like this is a very, very old one. So let's see what's happening with this one. I've never seen this one, so it does seem quite old.
I'll tell you, I'm a compassionate man. I know what it's like to go through a divorce. I've been through two. I know what it's like to make mistakes that you regret. But men who care about other people, and you're one of them. There's no doubt in my mind you are one of them. You're a compassionate man too, or you wouldn't sit there with the emotions that I see in your eyes. Believe me, I am not lying to you. All you have to do is listen. All you have to do is listen.
If you do, I don't want to accidentally sail myself down the river further than I might be if there is evidence against me.
So you're saying I'm not a compassionate man?
No, I'm not saying you're not a compassionate man. I just want legal advice. If guys, that's the evidence you have pointing at me. If the guys' case is that strong against me, the thing I'm worried about, if it's that strong against me, is what kind of time or whatever, if it is that strong against me.
Okay, so that is a big red flag if I ever saw one. So you want a lawyer because you know that the reason why they're coming to you, that they have very strong evidence against you, that they need to come and question you. The detective was trying to use at that time the ego up approach, where he's saying, listen, I think that you're a good guy, or you're a guy, you're a loving guy, you're a caring guy, and everybody makes mistakes. I don't think that this is really who you are. I just think that you was at a bad time in your moment, and everyone makes mistakes to try to, break down that wall that he has and open up and tell them exactly what they need, right? But he's aware. He's aware that that's what the detective is doing. That's what I noticed just in this few minutes. He's aware. And he's also concerned that if any evidence that they do have against him, what time or how much time is he looking at? That's very alarming, because these are your folks that was shot with, I don't know, a shotgun or a rifle. These are your folks that were shot in their bed. And you are not concerned, you are not wailing, you are not showing any emotions about your family. If these are not your parents, but I think these are your parents, you're not even showing any concern and sorrow for your family members losing their life this way. You're literally just more concerned about how much time are you possibly looking at. That is a tattletale sign. I just want to point that out. That doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't help him. Bruce said, there he said it. I want legal advice. End of subject. But he keeps talking. That makes his request for a lawyer void. Right, exactly. He doesn't know that too. You say you want legal advice, but you still want to talk. Then you also want to ask the detective questions. And the questions that you're asking them is more about you being concerned of you being guilty, not of a person who is innocent. See, this is why it's very important for us to dissect the psychology of these particular individuals and their thinking pattern, and then understand why the detectives ask certain questions that they do. Because when we point these things out bit by bit, it makes sense. Let's go on.
That's why I'd rather have legal advice.
So you're wanting to know what kind of charges will be brought against the person that did this?
Yes.
Okay. There's several things that can happen.
Before answering Greg's question, the detective receives a call from his supervisor, who tells him he has an idea on how to get a confession. The detective leaves the room, and when he comes back, his supervisor is with him.
I didn't just look something up. We've got somebody we want you to talk to, and wants to talk to you to answer your questions from a higher level. Okay.
Greg, this is Mark Whitaker.
Greg, how you doing?
He's a supervisor, and he knows his case. He's been doing some talking to the prosecutor, okay? I've conferred with him what's been going on here. He's familiar with his case, and he's got some stuff he wants to explain to you or talk to you about, okay? All he wants to do is just pay attention to me.
Okay, Greg, I just want you to sit there and listen to me, okay? I'm going to tell you some things. I don't want you to make any statements. I'm going to ask you a question which I want to answer to when I'm done saying what it is I've got to say, okay?
So before I let him go on and I go ahead and go take a water break, I got to go get some water. They brought a prosecutor in because they realized that Greg wanted to end the interview. He wanted to end it. He asked for legal counsel. They want to get a confession for him because they already know that the footprints that they found around the house was Greg. They probably have even DNA to prove that it was Greg. They probably don't know where the actual weapon is because Greg has it, and they want him to confess. So since he already asked about what time would he be looking at due to the evidence that they have, it was smart for them to bring in a prosecutor who is probably looking at this case. He might not necessarily be on this case, and I think he's not, because then that would be a problem when it does go to trial, that one of the prosecutors actually spoke to Greg and all the stuff like that. It would be a situation with that, right? But he brought a prosecutor in to tell him, hey, listen, if this looks like this, with the amount of evidence that we have, this is what can possibly come down on your table. But if you give us this information, that might give you a better outcome, a better situation. Or if you can give us information that might lead us to who might did this, whatever not, it would give you a better outcome out the situation. So that's why they brought a prosecutor in, because now Greg can feel more comfortable that he's speaking to someone who probably know exactly how this is going to play out in court. And he probably will believe that this prosecutor will be able, or whatever he says to him in this interview, he will be able to pull those type of strings if he says what they want him to say. So that's what is happening right now. But I'm going to go ahead and let it play out a little bit. Let me go get my water.
First of all, Greg, as Detective Trissel had said, I'm very familiar with this case. I guess you could say, as supervisor here in investigations, I'm also supervisor over this case. Okay. So I'm familiar with the details. I'm familiar with the evidence. I'm familiar with all these types of things. Okay. I've also talked to Detective Trissel about how the interview's going here and the point that we've reached with you. And I want to explain something to you. I've been talking to the prosecutor of Darke County. His name is Richard Howe. Okay. And I've been conferring with him in this situation. This case here is, given the circumstances that an offender has killed 2 persons at one time, is a death penalty case. Okay. The prosecutor right now is willing to not pursue the death penalty specification, which leaves the option of life in prison as the end result, on the condition that you give a entirely truthful statement, and even potentially subject yourself to a truth verification device so we know that we got a truthful statement from you. Okay.
So the offer is, if Craig confesses right now, the supervisor will ensure that he does not get the death penalty. If Craig confesses after hearing this offer, the confession could be thrown out of court. Confessions from a suspect must be made of their own free will, without any threats or promises of leniency. The concern is that an innocent suspect who is caught in a string of circumstantial evidence may decide to give a false confession because they believe they will be found guilty anyways, and they hope to get a lighter sentence.
That offer's on the table today.
See, what did I say? That's exactly why they brought him in there. Exactly why they want the confession. But then again, like I said, if he comes back and he said that he was under distress, or if he goes and he actually gets a lawyer that is not a part of the prosecution team, to tell them that you were under distress, or you was coerced into thinking that they were giving you some type of deal, then there can be a mistrial. There can be a mistrial, or he can be sentenced and he can appeal it. But let's go on.
It may not be on the table tomorrow, okay? But this is what I want to tell you. You had indicated to me, or to the other detectives here, I believe, that you wanted, you would like maybe some legal advice. So I'm extending this. There is the possibility, I need to rephrase what I'm getting ready to say. There is the possibility for parole after 20 years. Okay. The sentence would be considered life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years. The parole board decides, and that in those circumstances, it would be a parole board that would decide whether you do or you don't get out after the 20 years are served in this situation. The question I have for you, understanding that we're extending this opportunity for you today, and it will be in exchange for your truthful statement is the reason we're going to give this offer to you. But the question I have to ask you before we go any further, because I can't talk about this, we can't talk any further if you want legal counsel. So my question to you, do you want legal counsel at this point? If so, we'll stop everything we're doing right here and we'll go. But do you understand? Let me ask you this. Do you understand everything I just said to you?
Yeah, I understand what you said to me.
You're clear about what the offer on the table is?
Yeah, but if I still want the legal advice, what then?
If you want an attorney, then we shut this whole thing down, pack it up, and we walk out. Okay, and we're done talking. That's essentially what the deal is.
The supervisor realizes that Greg wants a lawyer, which means the interrogation would come to an end. Before confirming if he really does want one, he explains what the offer is and implies that the offer is only good until Greg asks for a lawyer. Greg now has to make a choice. Ask for a lawyer and potentially receive the death penalty, or confess and only receive 20 years.
And then what would be legalities of that afterward?
What charge? Is that what you're asking?
Essentially, what I'm saying is, what the prosecutor's telling me is that offer may not necessarily be on the table tomorrow. When someone shoots and kills two people at the same time, a double homicide, if you will, that meets the state law's requirements for a death penalty.
I just want some kind of legal advice, but I would like to be extended pending what legal advice says. Would that be an option?
Not necessarily. I'm not saying it won't, and I'm not saying it will. All I'm telling you is what the prosecutor told me. If you want legal counsel, there's no problem with that. You have a right to legal counsel. If you cannot afford legal counsel, As we proceed with these charges, you will be. Let me make something. I want to make something clear today. You're not going home tonight. Okay. You're gonna be placed under arrest, and you're going to be charged with aggravated murder, 2 counts.
By telling Greg that he's not going home after the interview, it shows him that the evidence they have is strong enough to get an arrest warrant.
Okay. And you're going to be booked in and processed in the jail tonight. I don't want any misunderstandings about that. Okay. Do you understand that at this point?
I understand that.
Okay. We're very comfortable with our evidence. All right. Not worried about it.
Could you maybe talk to the prosecutor?
It's crazy. Yeah, Greg, they really definitely showed him that he doesn't have any choice. No choices at all. You want the death penalty, you want to go through with the death penalty, try your luck in the system, or you want to, confess, tell us what actually happened and what you did, and you can spend your, the rest of your life in prison. That's how they painted to him, that realization of, where this is going. There is no, I'm going home. See if that works. Wow. And he's in there with 3 people deep. You go to the cell until an attorney comes to see you. Then you sit there up to 4 weeks before you even get a lawyer. That definitely does happen. It's murder, so there is no bail. Yeah, I mean, in this case, yes, there wasn't going to be no bail. There wasn't going to be no bail. Absolutely not. And like I said, I'm sure that they have already found out that the footprint matches Greg's footprint. And I'm sure they're already just waiting for DNA to come back to see whether or not if his DNA was there. He didn't even get offered a lawyer. Right. He asked for one, right? And what did they do? They sent him a prosecutor, right? Or a guy or lawyer who knows the prosecutor who's actually dealing with this case. He explained to him that this is their route, that since it's a homicide, right? And you killed 2 people at the same time, that's an automatic death penalty. So he explained that to him, that this is where you're at. This is where you at right now. And they hoping that, he's going to make the decision of probably going with life in prison, and they actually get the confession. They actually get the weapon, or he lets them know where the weapon's at. This is what they want. Let's go on.
See, after I get legal advice.
Okay, your question is would that same opportunity be available to you if you chose to not say anything tonight, but seek legal counsel before making that decision? Is that correct?
Not necessarily counsel, just advice.
Just advice. Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you want an attorney right now?
I'd like legal advice anyways from like an attorney or something.
All right. Let me see. Let me see what let me talk to the prosecutor and see.
Okay.
So that we do not violate anybody's rights, we're just going to wait until they come back to talk, okay?
I just want the legal advice, not trying to say won't say talk, but I just want legal advice.
I understand.
While they're talking, could I step outside to have a cigarette?
I'll check on it real quick.
Greg has said on multiple occasions that he would like legal advice. Nothing more about the case should have been said until it was confirmed that Greg did or did not want a lawyer, but instead a deal was offered to Greg. The supervisor will now come back into the room after speaking with the prosecutor a second time.
Okay. At this point,
welcome back,
the question you're asking me, the prosecutor is not really inclined to give an answer on. Okay. He's extending you the opportunity now. Whether that opportunity will be available tomorrow or later, we don't know. Okay. Obviously, when we extend someone an opportunity or an offer, it's obviously because we want something from you. And what we want from you is a truthful statement about what's going on here. We just want to understand a little better about.
I mean, I could definitely admit they're definitely using a whole bunch of tactic on him. They're putting the pressure on. They're letting him know that, listen, this is an actual deal. And if you don't take it now, it might not be on the table for you later on. I think one of the reasons why he keeps on asking for legal advice is because he wants to see whether or not if he has any other options outside of the two that they just gave him. Because remember, that guy is a part of the prosecution team, right? He's not a defense attorney. He's not there to defend any suspect or any client in that way. He's there to get the evidence and to get a conviction like any other prosecutor who's working for the state. So he wants to make sure that if he spoke to a actual defense attorney, do the defense attorney has any other options for him outside of what they gave him, right? But even in that would be a risk, because quite honestly, the way how they came on strong with Greg, their evidence is probably on point, right? Like they probably don't even need a confession for him. That's why I feel that's why they came on so strong with him. That whole buddying up only lasted for 2 minutes, and he's been sitting there with these guys for 25 minutes, and they've been railing him, letting him know that the window is about to close on you in regards of you being able to still breathe and not be on death row, right? Or you losing your life from this. But let's see what else they do. Shout out to everyone. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Why and what happened here.
Oh.
Okay? Don't say nothing, please. Okay? So that's why the prosecutor's extending you this opportunity. I still don't quite understand exactly. I'm asking you, do you want an attorney? And if you do, then we're going to shut this whole thing down and we'll be done. We'll go ahead and book you in and the interview is over. Okay. And whether that opportunity is available to you tomorrow or whatever, we can't answer that. Prosecutor's not willing to answer that question. The prosecutor's available, willing to, do you want to talk to him?
If I could make him understand what I'm getting at. Not saying I won't continue interview. I just want some kind of legal advice.
Okay. In our situation where we are here right now, when you say, well, I think I need legal advice, or I kind of like, I want to talk to you, but I kind of want legal advice. You're what we call hedging. You're
yes.
You're at the edge of the table and getting ready to jump to the next table, but you're not wanting to do it. You're hanging on. You can't have your cake and eat it too, is what I'm saying. If you want an attorney, then you need to tell me that, and we will stop and we'll end this thing, because that's the way the rules are. We have to do it that way. Okay. It's all about your rights. It's all about, we don't want you to say something that you feel we coerced out of you later on. Okay. If you want legal counsel before you continue any further with this, then what we do is we stop. So I guess I'm asking you, if you want an attorney, then I need to know, is that what you want? Because if you do, we'll stop it and arrangements will be made for you to get an attorney. But if you want to continue to talk to us, communicate with me here on this. There is an offer on the table. It's your choice whether you want it. But I have to know whether you want an attorney or not. Is there anything about that? Are you confused?
He doesn't understand that when you get legal counsel, your lawyer can try to get another deal for you, but that's taking a risk. The prosecutor is trying to tell you that we're trying to give you a deal right now. We can just have this done, wrapped up, case closed. if you try to go get a lawyer now, then this deal is not on the table for you going forward. So whatever they throw at you, they throw at you, especially if you are proved guilty in the court of law. He's not understanding that. He's still trying to play both sides of the fence. He wants to know, or he wants to get an understanding how much the prosecutor got on him, that they feel very confident to seal the deal with this case or getting a verdict against you. And he also wants to see whether or not if there is a third option, because he's not too excited about the two options that he got. But what's really like startled me is that we're talking about his parents. We're talking about a man who shot both his parents in their bed. And the simple fact is that there is no sense of remorse, no sense of guilty or anything that is coming off of this guy about this. In fact, he's not saying that he didn't do it. He's literally more concerned about, well, do I have a third option depending on a whole bunch of evidence that lead to me? That's what that sounds very guilty. You're not making any case of you being innocent at all. You're just like, I'm not really feeling the options that you're giving me. Is there a third one? Can I speak to somebody who can give me a third one? That doesn't fly. Especially if you think you want to go to trial, right? Because they're going to bring all this up. They're going to bring all that up, and the jury is going to see how cold-hearted of a killer you were to your parents, because you wanted your inheritance. You wanted your parents' wealth. You wanted what was promised to you. This is not painting you any better or in a good light, because you only care about yourself. That's what it shows. You only care about yourself. If they had a case, they wouldn't even be bothering. Well, that yes and no, right? Yes and no. I think they do have enough evidence. However, if they can just, I think in this situation, they just feel like their gut feeling is telling them that it was him. They already found the motive. They might not have the means yet, meaning the weapon, but they definitely understood the opportunity that he had to commit this, because he knew he has access to his parents' house. He has access to the estate. He knows the surrounding. He knows how to navigate the surroundings. So I think for them, they want to just seal the deal. They don't want a mistrial. They don't want anything else coming up. They also throw several at you, hoping you will cop a plea to one of them. Yes, they do. But in this case, they're literally only just giving him one. Either way, you're not going home. He's not going home. He's not going home. Yes, Bruce, it was money. That was the motive. Money, the estate, their business, their properties. That was definitely the motive. The first offer is always the worst. Then what would you get with a lawyer negotiating, making them prove it? Right? Yeah, exactly. The first offer is always the worst. Absolutely. If you really think about it. Bruce said it's an enigma. They have to solve the puzzle. They can speculate, but to hear it is better. Yeah. Let's go on.
Okay. The offers, if I can continue the interview, tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying I won't do that.
Okay.
I just would like legal advice, whether I should or what.
Do you want an attorney?
Greg is scared to ask for an attorney because he believes by doing so he will lose the deal presented to him. Not once during the entire interrogation did Greg say that he didn't do it, and he appears very concerned about what will happen once he confesses.
See, didn't I tell you everything I said?
Do you want to talk to the prosecutor? He's probably basically going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you, but would you like to talk to him?
If I could.
Okay.
The supervisor leaves the room and he returns with the prosecutor.
Mr. Meyer?
Yeah.
Dick Howe, prosecuting attorney, Dick Howe. Yeah. Question or something for me? I think it's, I want to fill in briefly. This question whether the law basically is if you make an unequivocal request for an attorney, they have to stop this interview and it's over with, okay?
Well, he told me what was on the table as far as offer.
I talked to him earlier today about the fact that you're willing to come straight out and tell us everything what happened, truthful, that I wouldn't pursue the death penalty, okay? Because it's a death spec case.
I was trying, I don't know if it was relayed to you how I was trying to say it or what. Not saying I won't continue an interview of truthfulness, but could I just have legal advice from an attorney before I continue?
But you can always have legal advice for you. Is that your right? Go get you say you want that.
I'm still.
I don't know. I'm not going to answer. I don't know. I don't know if tomorrow I would give you the same offer. Okay. I really don't know, to be honest with you.
That's what I'd like to know if I.
But you're thinking, but yeah, that's your decision. I can't make that call for you. I can't give you legal advice. Okay. I don't represent you. Okay.
That's why I was trying to see if what they said to you tried to get what I was trying to say.
Well, I guess they're just kind of in quandary because they're not sure if you're really requesting an attorney or not. And I'm not sure either. If you are, that's fine.
Yes,
you're allowed to do that.
But I was wondering if that would still be on the table after I had some legal advice.
It may be. I'm not going to say it is, won't, or will not be. Okay. I do not know everything that they know. Okay. At this point.
I know, right, Moa? It's crazy. They got the whole department up there, the supervisor, the director.
I'm not saying I won't
everybody's in there.
I'd rather have a little bit of legal advice to know more as far as my end of it.
It appears that Greg and the detectives are in a stalemate. They know if Greg talks to a lawyer, he won't be answering any more of their questions and he may never confess. Greg wants a lawyer, but he also doesn't want to receive the death penalty.
Well, okay, I still don't understand. Do you want an attorney? Is that what you want? I mean, that's all that's a yes or no question.
Well, like I said, if the case is that strong, I don't want the death penalty, but I was wondering if I could talk to a lawyer, but have
the answer is yes, you can.
Have the offer extended if the case is that strong.
That's on my.
After I see what the attorney says.
I'm not going to give the answer to, okay? Because I don't know the answer to that. Because I don't know exactly how strong everything is at this point. They're doing a search of your house right now, I think, is my understanding. I don't know what they're finding there. And fingerprints on his teeth and stuff like that, but we still got a lot of lab work.
Greg got to understand, you can't have your cake and eat it too, especially with these people. These people are not here to help you, okay? They're not here to help you, Greg. These ain't your buddies, okay? These are not even, truly, if you really think about it, these are not the lawyers that you should be talking to. You called on a lawyer earlier. That means you needed a defense attorney. You're not really supposed to even be speaking to these prosecutors. They're not going to help you. Even if they're saying that they're trying to help you, they're not going to help you. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You cannot want the prosecutors to put up the charge for the death penalty, but then also at the same time, you want to dabble with the defense attorney to see whether or not if you can get a plea deal afterwards. Because that's really why he keeps on giving them the back and forth runaround. He does not want them to put the death penalty charge. He doesn't think that he will be able to beat it if they put the death penalty, if they charge him with death penalty. So that's why he's trying to get these prosecutors to confirm to him that he won't be put up for for the death penalty, while also looking for a third option out of the two options that they gave him. It's not going to work. They're smarter than you, and they actually know what you're trying to get them to do. And on top of that, you also trying to get them to admit that, hey, this is what we're going to do for you, knowing that that would throw out your case and it would be a mistrial. Let's go on.
Work to do is my understanding. And maybe there are results back already. I don't know. I'm not familiar with everything that they know. So I can't answer that. Obviously, the stronger this case is, the less likely I'm going to continue that offer.
I said, I'm not saying I won't continue. I just like to know if that offer could be continued after.
And my answer is it may, but I'm not going to guarantee it.
I would like legal advice, but if their case that strong against me, I don't want to have death penalty.
Well, that's a decision you got to make.
Yeah,
Okay, we can't make that for you.
You're in the position where
he wants all the options available to him.
We'll explain it. If you have questions or there's something that we're confusing you about or you don't understand, you tell us. You just say, hey, this is the part I don't understand. And we explain it. Now, you mentioned to me that you pretty much understand everything that's being said here and what's going on. Is that true?
As far as I know.
Okay. We've reached a point in the interview where you have a decision to make. You do. Okay. We're not sitting here. Has anybody sat here and tried to force anything out of you?
He kept continuing with the same question.
Well, because he wants an answer to the question. Okay. But that hasn't happened. Okay. I mean, nobody sat here and said, look, if you don't give me an answer, I'm going to give you a beating. That's not going to happen. Okay.
Even though they haven't threatened Greg with a beating, it has been implied that if he doesn't confess now, he could get the death penalty.
We're not going to force you to talk. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. What was the first line they read to you when you walked in here tonight? You have the right to remain silent, right? I'm pretty sure.
Now, that's one thing that I'm going to go against the video essay is about, because they did not apply that he was going to get the death penalty. They applied that the death penalty is not off the table whether you don't take this plea deal, which is exactly what Greg wants. He wants them to confirm that the death penalty will be off the table. He's not understanding the plea deal that they're giving him. They're only giving him two options. And the two options is you either take the death penalty or you can get life in prison, but that's only if we get an actual confession from you and also the murder weapon. That is the stipulation of this plea. He's not understanding. Well, I wouldn't say that he's not understanding, but I would definitely say is he's not accepting those options. So my thing is, if you're not going to accept those options, done deal, wrap it up. You want a defense attorney, not a prosecutor, and go ahead and put your life and trust into your defense attorney that they will have a better situation or outcome from you. That's what you have to decide. That's the choice that you have to make. But to sit up here and try to continue to play mind games and mind tricks with the detectives and with the prosecutors, thinking that they don't understand what you're trying to do or what you're trying to imply is quite crazy, and it's getting a little annoying right now. But it is quite crazy because they're not here to help you. You're speaking to the wrong team. This is the team that wants to book you. This is the team that wants to see you convicted. They have already got enough evidence that they believe that you are their suspect. You are the person that they're looking for. They're not the team to help you. Let's go on.
I wasn't in here, but I've done enough of these interviews and I know these guys and I know that's what they told you. Okay. Am I wrong about that?
No.
Okay. So you have the right to remain silent. That means you don't have to talk to us if you don't want to, and we're not going to make you. All right. But we reached a point in an interview where you kind of said, well, I kind of think I'd like to have legal counsel, but I want that offer still, though, tomorrow. And what the prosecutor here is saying is, I'm not going to promise that officer's going to be there tomorrow. I'm not going to say it will. I'm not going to say it won't. Okay? But I am going to tell you that if you would like, tonight, I will not give you the death specification, which would result in life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years are served. That he can tell you if you would choose to talk tonight and get this whole thing straightened out. And it's your decision to make, and we're not going to make you. Okay? That he's telling you, he's basically going to guarantee that is what the result will be if that's the choice that you choose to make tonight. All right? But before we continue, you have to answer the question quite simply yes or no. If you do, we will shut this whole thing down and we're done, because that's how the rules are. Have I confused you by any of the things? I'm trying to make it as clear as I can.
Yeah, I know you made it clear.
So there we are.
I wish.
So now the decision is in your. We're basically asking you for a decision at this point. Do you want to stop the interview at this point and give you the opportunity to get an attorney, or we'll appoint one to you if you don't have the money to do so? Okay, the judge will. That's the choice. Or the other choice is, if you want, we'll continue with the interview, knowing that you have the right to legal counsel, but you have given that right up, at least as far as talking tonight, and that you're doing so voluntarily, which means you're doing so by your own free will. And then he can promise that that is the deal that you'll get. So there we go. Either we want to continue with the interview, or we'll stop the whole thing and we'll get you legal. We'll get you legal counsel. What do you want? That's the choice. I can't put it any simpler than that.
He doesn't want to lose the choice of him not being able to get that plea deal again. And he's going to have to give that up. If you don't believe that they have enough evidence on you for a death penalty or a life in prison, then you go ahead and get you a defense attorney and take your chance at the court. He's trying his best to get these detectives to incriminate themselves. And these detectives are starting to get aggravated with him because they know that that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get them to promise him that whether you take this plea deal with us or not, we're still going to leave the death penalty off the table for you. They cannot do that. Now, the plea deal, they can give you a plea deal, but they cannot promise you anything else. And they can't promise you no special treatment, no favoritism or anything when it comes down to when this thing goes to court and trial, which he is trying to get them to say on record. So when he do get a defense attorney, he can say, well, look, they promised me that, listen, we're not even thinking about putting the death penalty on the table for you, but we did actually give you this plea deal and you decide not to take it. He wants that so he can get a mistrial. He wants them to incriminate themselves, but they're not going. They're not going. These ain't no rookie detectives. They've been doing this for a while. Let's go on.
This is a great example of why detectives are not allowed to make promises during an interrogation. There is a chance that Greg could be innocent, and now he believes that there is more than enough evidence to send him to death row. Realizing that his life might be over, Greg could accept the deal because 20 years is better than dying.
And we can't even talk about an offer with you if you've already said you want an attorney. My understanding, though, that you've not actually made that determination yet.
I've asked him a couple of times, do you want an attorney?
Right now.
Okay.
And I was wondering.
Have you told them that you want an attorney yet?
Legal advice, but not specifically attorney. That's what I was wondering.
Well, what do you mean? What's the difference?
Even though Greg has not specifically asked for a lawyer, he has asked for legal advice. A good lawyer would argue that asking for legal advice is the same as asking for a lawyer, so everything from that point on could be thrown out.
If their case is that strong against me, I don't want death penalty, but I would like to talk to get some legal advice from someone to see what I should
From
do
someone
for
other
sure.
than an attorney?
Well, attorney would be the best source of legal advice.
Generally, yes. I'm saying once you've asked for one, they're not. I can't even talk to you about an offer or anything. Okay. So if you have done that, we already got to shut this down. Okay. And so my question is, have you done that yet?
Yes.
Have you made an unequivocal request for an attorney? You think?
Legal advice is all I'm looking for, but I don't know.
He's
Like,
asked.
I don't want.
Yeah, Greg is just he's literally just playing with them at this point, and is very strategic for the reason why he keep on saying legal advice. Because all of this, the plea deal, all this recording, all that stuff is probably going to get thrown out in court if he doesn't take it and he actually go get a attorney. But he really is trying to incriminate these detectives to promise something to him. That's all he has to do. That they offered him some form of promise or favoritism outside of what was actually given to him within the plea deal. And then the case will be thrown out. He wants that. He wants it so bad. So he's just playing semantics. He's just playing mind tricks, Jedi mind tricking and all the stuff like that with these guys. Playing around with words and how he phrased it. But that's what he wants. That's what he truly, truly wants. Let's see. Hey, how you doing, T-Scouts? How you doing? He said, how did you get your skin to glow like that? My skin is glowing? Really? I don't know. Exfoliate, I guess. Sean said he's getting on my nerves. Yeah. Bruce said, I don't know about civilian, but I know they can interrogate you until you fall asleep. Wake up and you interrogate. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they can keep on doing this all day. You got to remember, they get paid to do this, right? Like, this is their job, right? These people work 24/7, 365 days a year. Like, they're always on call. So they'll do this. They'll do whatever they have to do. If they even have to sit in there with you for 4 days, they would do it. They don't want to. I'll tell you that much. They don't want to. But if they have to, they would. Okay. Let's go on. Let's go on. It's almost winding down now.
He said he kind of would like legal advice, but he's never asked for an attorney. Is that correct? Specifically for an attorney. Is that correct?
If your case
I've never heard you say it.
me, I don't want death penalty. That's why he's asking it.
It's just not about. It's not about how.
Like, they gotta stop playing with him. Like, they know he's playing. They know that he is playing games with him, with them, I should say. They know it. They gotta stop playing games with him too. He's been said this whole entire time that he wants legal advice. He already got legal advice by you bringing a prosecutor who knows the prosecutor that is on his case, who actually spoke to the prosecutor that's on his case about this. That's how you was even able to get the plea deal, because you are speaking with attorneys, right? And this attorney got connections to the attorney that is trying to put charges on you and was willing to give you a plea deal in this situation. You have gotten legal advice. You just don't like that this is the legal advice that you're being given. But he have said that he have requested legal advice from the beginning. They just need to stop playing with this guy, because all he's trying to do is just get them caught up. He's just trying to get them caught up for them to promise something outside of the plea deal. He really keeps on saying, I really don't want the death penalty. Well, sir, it don't freaking matter what you want. It's past the time where these people care about what you want. Your defense attorney is supposed to care about what you want, not these folks. These folks are here to get the evidence and get a conviction. That is what they're here for. They don't care about your damn feelings. And the simple fact that they're sitting up here for 45 minutes pleading with you on you to decide whether or not if you want to go ahead and take this route in court and see if you get the death penalty or if you can get life in prison. Like, honestly, they're going above and beyond. quite honestly. I think that they don't want to, personally, they don't want you to get the death penalty, but they do want you to, they do want justice served, right? You have to pay for your crimes. But they're sitting here. They're sitting here like literally pleading with you, please make up your mind. You want to take it to court with the defense attorney? Cool. Try your luck with them. But that plea deal is not going to be on the table the next following day. They don't have to promise you that. And that's what he wants them to promise. That the same plea deal will be on the table tomorrow. No, because that is a confirmation, that is a promise to you. And once they promise something to you, you incriminate them, and then your case gets thrown out. The prosecutor's case gets thrown out. They got to stop playing with him. I would just say, you know what? It's been real. We gave you a plea deal. You didn't take it. Good luck with your defense attorney. I'll see you later. That's what I would say to him, truly. That's what I would say. They can lock him up for a suspicion for 72 hours and ask him if he wants an attorney. They could ask, do you want legal advice for a defense attorney? Would that work? That probably could work, because if he says yes, then that would give them the confirmation that they need, that he wants an attorney. But he's being very strategic to use legal advice, because you can get legal advice anywhere. He's getting legal advice from them right now, right? He's also getting legal advice from people who doesn't have anything to do necessarily or hands-on with their case, but they're knowledgeable about this case. So that's why it's that's a trippy type of word to ask for counsel, right? Because you can get legal advice from anywhere, really. Shoot, you can get legal advice on Google. I don't know how old this is, but if you pull up his phone, he speak to a search engine, he can get legal advice there. It's sad. Yeah, it is old. This is very old. This is very old, Miss Jalen. Moa said it's a double murder. Yeah, double murder. Bruce said pick and choose menu for double homicide. Right. Attorney could. Oh yeah. Right. Attorney could get you a better deal. They just playing with him to get the confession. Right. Exactly. So, but he doesn't trust it. He doesn't trust that whatever defense attorney that he get, and especially if he don't even have the money to get a good defense attorney, he doesn't trust that they will be able to give him a better deal. So he doesn't want it on the table. But I really do think that he's just being strategic to get these detectives to make a promise, which they're not supposed to promise anything, and actually get the whole case thrown out. That's what I believe that he's trying to do. He's also fishing to see strong of the case they have. Yes, Wiley, he did. Yes, he definitely is. Let's see. Sean said it was from 2003. Okay. Hey, Martin, how are you? Good to see you. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. Yeah, 2003. This looked older than 2003. It looked older than 2003. It looked like this. It was giving me like early 1990s vibes. I mean, look at that damn computer. Isn't that like the original Microsoft? That's like that's the original Apple computer in the bed. This got to be 1985, 1990. Let's go.
How strong the case is against you. Well, it is, and the case is strong against you. That's my opinion as the investigator in this case, or one of the investigators in this case. I'm not worried about this case, okay? All right? Your statement helps us understand why, okay? And allows us to do a few things, okay? But if you don't talk to us today, do I think that that's going to be detrimental to the case?
Thank you.
No. Mm-mm. I'm pretty comfortable with the physical evidence that we have. All right. That's my opinion, and I'm just telling you how I feel about it as the person who's kind of seen what's going on in the case against you. Now, quite simply, I want to ask you this question. All right. It's just quite simply yes or no. Do you want an attorney?
Yes, but like I said,
Yes, you want an attorney.
Yes, but's not an answer.
Do you want an attorney? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, we're done.
Okay.
But I don't want definitely. That's
Oh,
what I was
stop the
trying to.
interview. The time is
That's not a promise that can be made. We made that clear.
The interrogation comes to an end, and Greg is told he is being charged with murder.
Hello. We have a gentleman in the interview room. He needs to be booked in, and we're going to charge him with probably 2 counts of aggravated murder. All right.
It sure is.
And
Greg, you want to stand up for me?
do you have? We probably want to bring him across the lobby, right?
Been sitting
Alright.
too long.
You ain't got anything on you? Just want to poke me or stick me? Do you?
Not,
Okay. Why don't you
no,
send
the keys.
some of your crews down? We'll do that. And then, but I want your guys, since they're going to take him, I want you guys to pat him down too. Because I mean, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, let's take him back through that way.
If I do have
Okay,
anything
well,
other
let's
than
do it.
keys, I
Thanks.
don't know about it.
He's been real cooperative with us. I mean, he hasn't, been rude or aggressive or anything like that.
Okay.
All right.
At this point, the case against Greg was very weak, but that would change in the upcoming weeks. The police were able to find the murder weapon lying at the bottom of the Stillwater River. Near the shotgun, they found a bag that contained the shoes that matched the footprints found outside the home. They also found latex gloves and extra 12-gauge ammo for the shotgun. Because the bag had been sealed, the contents inside were still dry. Inside one of the latex gloves, the police found a fingerprint that belonged to Greg. Along with the fingerprint, the ammo they found was very hard to come by. The only place that sold it was a local Walmart that just happened to have sold a box around the time the murders took place. Walmart had video footage of Greg purchasing the ammo with a gift card, and that same gift card was found in his wallet the day he was arrested. With all the new evidence they had, they did not need Greg's confession. Greg would be found guilty of 2 counts of murder, and he received life in prison without the possibility of parole. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. How do you feel about
Greg was given too many damn chances. Greg was getting on my nerves. He was getting on my nerves. I'm sorry, but Greg, he was getting on my nerves. But like I said, they didn't even need his confession at this point. Enough time had passed by where they was able to find everything, which that lucked out for them. That definitely lucked out for them. And even within that, he was afraid. He was so afraid about the death penalty. They still didn't even give him the death penalty. He still got exactly what the other option was, life in prison without parole now. Hey, Southern, how are you? Good to see you, sis. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a good Wednesday for this hump day. Hope you're enjoying it. Bruce says, he's still going in a drunk tank for a few days. He's a violent criminal. They won't put him in population for a while. Yeah, like what a dummy. Like absolutely. Greg was getting on my nerves. Greg was definitely getting on my nerves. Yes, he was. Greg had the whole department in there with him. Yes, he did, Miss Jalen. He had everybody and their mama was in there trying to talk to him. Are you going to take the deal or not? Like, can we get a yes or no? Yes. But I want legal counsel. Okay, so you want this to stop? No, because I don't want the death penalty. So if I get legal counsel, would this still happen tomorrow? No, we can't give you that answer. But I don't want the death penalty, but I want legal advice. He was just playing with them the whole entire time. It was getting annoying. It was definitely getting annoying. Oh, that I don't know. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's sad. Okay, so the last one that I have for you guys, make sure you're hitting the like button for me. I truly appreciate it. And share this out to anyone who likes this type of content. Also, you can put in the comment section when the live stream is over any other cases that you might want me to review on this channel. I truly appreciate it. Make sure we're getting this likes up. So the last case that I have for you guys, you good folks, is about a missing mom. There was a mom who was a mother of 5 children. She went and did regular errands, took her kids to school and stuff like that. And then she ended up missing. Out of nowhere, just ended up missing. And the cops found out that she made it home, but she was still missing, like she wasn't in the house. So I wanted to look at this, review this. It seemed like it could possibly be a exchange, like a strange husband, boyfriend, or something type of situation. And I thought it was interesting. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen, and then we will get into it. Here we go.
It was a near-perfect spring day as 50-year-old Jennifer Dulos loaded her children into the family's 2017 Chevy Suburban and took them to school. She rushed right back home because she had 2 doctor's appointments in New York City, one at 11 a.m. and the second at 1 p.m. Depending on traffic, she should have plenty of time to get home, gather her stuff, change cars, and head out. She made it home, but that's where her trail ends. From there, Jennifer Dulos, mother of 5, going through the extended trials and tribulations of a messy divorce, just disappeared. Before we begin, we would like to extend our deepest sympathies to the family and loved ones of Jennifer Dulos, a loving mother of 5 and a devoted daughter who was taken from those who needed her very much. She would never show up at the doctor's office, and when her nanny arrived at the house with the kids in tow, there would be no sign of Jennifer. The Chevy Suburban was not in the garage, and the 2014 Range Rover that Jennifer had planned to drive to the city was still there. A personal friend of hers arrived at the home just minutes later, and the 2 adults quickly called the police to let them know she was missing. Police were on the scene by 7 p.m. that evening. Jennifer was rarely late and hadn't messaged anyone about any delays. She was not answering calls. They knew they had a good reason to worry for Jennifer's safety, as they were familiar with how contentious the divorce had been going and how violent her former husband, Fotis Dulos, was supposed to be. Let's take a moment to look at the marriage and divorce of Jennifer and Fotis Dulos. Fotis Dulos was a Greek man who immigrated to the United States in 1986. He would graduate from Brown University, a private Ivy League school, and go on to receive a master's degree in business administration and finance from Columbia University. He married in 2000 and then divorced in 2004. The same year, he founded a real estate development and construction company, the 4 Group Incorporated, that concentrated on high-end homes and other projects. Jennifer Farber, a 1990 graduate of Brown University herself, would go on to earn a master's degree in writing from the New York University School of the Arts. Jennifer came from a well-to-do and well-connected family, her aunt and uncle having founded the Liz Claiborne Incorporated fashion company. The 2 would meet at Brown University alumni events and eventually fell in love. Fotis, however, was still involved with his first marriage. The 2 would marry just 1 month after the divorce from his first wife was finalized. Jennifer and Fotis would make their home in one of the more posh neighborhoods of Farmington, Connecticut. They would have 5 children, 3 sons and 2 daughters, including 2 sets of twins. Fotis's business would flourish, and the family would be very busy with outdoor activities, particularly water skiing. By 2012, Jennifer would begin telling friends that the marriage had troubles, and after a vacation in 2017, it seemed that Fotis had decided to give infidelity another try, this time with Michelle Troconis, a somewhat younger woman originally from Venezuela. Jennifer had been down this road before at the beginning of her own relationship with Fotis. In court papers and recollections from friends, she said that she began moving things out of the family home and preparing to leave the cheating man. Everything was kept secret, especially her knowledge of the affair, for as long as possible to keep him from getting suspicious. Over the years, she would claim, Fotis had become more controlling, and threats of violence were becoming less and less uncommon when she would have arguments with him. Finally, one day, she packed up the kids and filed for divorce. She would end up renting a home in nearby New Canaan, Connecticut, and began the slow, long slog through the courts to dissolve the marriage and their
So it's sad because I actually know where this area is. Like I knew the area where it was in New York, and I know exactly where she's at in Connecticut. My whole thing is it just gets really bad when the person that you're in a relationship and stuff like that, it gets to that abusing point. And then even when it's been confirmed that the person no longer want to be with you, you got to the point of divorce or even restraining order, stuff like that. Why not just leave the person alone? Right? Why not leave that person alone? I really want to understand what is going through these individuals' mind that they keep on pursuing, they keep on terrorizing an individual that's letting you know that they no longer want to be with you. Like, it's just really weird to me. It's really, 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 really weird. Yes. I do know the area. This happened in New York, and she moved to Connecticut. Let's go on.
Sizable shared wealth. The custody battle between the two for the 5 children would become extremely contentious, with supervised visitations being required as Fotis became more demanding. The loss of his children was turning anger into hate. Did it turn into something murderous as well? Now that we've looked at the environment that had developed between Jennifer and Fotis Dulos, let's return to her apparent disappearance on May the 24th of 2019. Officers entered the home of Jennifer Dulos in an effort to see if she was somewhere within the house or to find any clues as to her whereabouts. The officers, led by New Canaan Police Department Officer Thomas Patton, entered the 6,000-square-foot, 6-bedroom, 9-bath home on the ground floor, through the garage, and into the family's kitchen area. Searching throughout the first floor, nothing seemed out of place.
That house is huge. Huge. 6,000 square feet? Like, dang, girl. Who you holding in there? Army? Let's go on.
There were no signs of any kind of a struggle. On the second floor, they found much the same situation. The family's bedrooms and belongings appeared to have not been affected, and there was still no sign of Jennifer. The unfurnished basement also turned up nothing as they searched. Returning to the kitchen area, the officers noticed a large handbag on the floor between the door, the garage, and the kitchen counter, like it had just been dropped off as someone came in. Within were papers and one of Jennifer's jackets.
The police are just searching the house and the home, and they just found
I've located that vehicle. It is parked on the side of the road.
Hi, Paul. A big family. A big family need 9 bathrooms, okay? And the dog need one too. How you doing?
Perhaps she had brought it in when coming to change vehicles before heading off to New York City and her appointments. But she hadn't changed cars. The Range Rover was still in the garage and the Suburban was still gone. The police officers went back out to the garage and looked around a bit more closely.
It was wiped at some point, but dried first. Dry edges, what's that? Yeah, when he just called in, he had a lot of scuff on it. There's some back here too. Is there? Yeah, down here too. On the lower portion of the car. And it looks like it's been buffed or scraped or scratched all down through the driver's side. Well, it's just strange in connection with the fact that we've got a missing person, or potentially a missing person. You know? Yeah, scrapes on this side too, but there's no blood near them, so whatever they hit went down this side of the vehicle. Especially because like this, it's like a pattern here. You know what I mean? It's clothing. Right, not fur. But there, it's up here too. It's hard to get any of this. These cameras are. We should get better cameras. Hopefully this is getting it though. Right? Usually if you hit a deer and there's blood in your car, you take it to the car wash and get it cleaned. Especially a Range Rover. Let's see if there's any damage in it. I mean, this is grandma's car, so you never know. But
as they photograph what could be potential evidence, other officers are in the area looking out for the missing Suburban in hopes of finding Jennifer. At this point, they are pursuing this as a missing persons case, but their questions about blood found on the Range Rover would eventually become very important. Forensic teams would take samples of the blood found on the vehicle and further find some small flecks of blood on the kitchen faucet. Over the following hours, forensic team members would identify numerous tiny specks and spatters of blood. Traces were found on the Range Rover's hood, bumper, tire, and rear fender. More blood specks were found on the door leading from the garage into the mudroom on the door's interior knob and plate. In the kitchen, beyond the specks that were found on the faucet, there were additional ones found inside the under-sink cabinet door. More tiny blood specks were found on the garage door and inside of the garage's east wall. All of these samples were sent off for DNA testing. If they were shown to be human and Jennifer's, the tiny amounts found and the otherwise spotless nature of the area.
Now, what it seems to me is she came home through the garage and she dropped, she only got it, she only made it to the kitchen where she dropped the bag at near the counter from where the garage door entrance was. It seemed like that her husband or ex-husband pulled her out, got from behind her, pulled her into the garage, did whatever he did with her in that garage, and then he went back into the house to try to clean up, wash off the blood off of him and stuff like that. Try to not make as much of a mess, because you do notice that there ain't no false entry, but you could tell that she was there. She was there. Everything was freshly new. Everything that was in that bag was current, current things. And then even the blood looks current. This is not old blood. This is not blood that's stained for over amount of time and they never wiped it up. This is actual, very fresh blood. It's really sad for me to think about what this guy possibly have done to this woman. Was that a blueprint on the wall? Something like that, yeah. Yeah, it looks like something real bad happened inside the house. Then she was moved. Yes, yeah. Let's go on.
Would mean that someone may well have cleaned up a crime scene, thoroughly but not completely. An hour after police began investigating the blood found on the Range Rover, Jennifer's Suburban was found abandoned at Waveney Park, some 3.5 miles away. There was no sign of Jennifer. There was a real possibility that something very bad had happened to the 50-year-old woman. It would not take long before detectives turned their attention to Jennifer's ex-husband, Fotis, who lived about an hour and a half away in Farmington, Connecticut. Fotis was asked to come to the police station and did so on May the 25th, 2019 at 2:47 p.m., where he was met by Officer Patton of the New Canaan Police Department and Connecticut State Police Detective Christopher Allegro. According to the men, Fotis asked the two men if there had been any information about Jennifer's disappearance and was informed that they were seeking help in the investigation. Initially, Fotis seemed willing to help, but his attorney quickly shut down any chance of an interview with him. When asked to see his telephone, Fotis initially agreed again, but then it was taken back by his attorney on his advice and required the investigators to obtain a warrant before they seized or examined it. The investigators had to wait until about 8:50 p.m. that night before the warrant was given. They then retrieved the phone from Fotis, as well as a second one he owned. What investigators would learn from Fotis's telephone would begin painting a picture of a horrible crime. Investigators found that on the day of Jennifer's disappearance, Fotis's phone pinged off of locations going to and from a job site earlier that day, and then spent the vast majority of the day at his home at Jefferson Crossing in Farmington, Connecticut, an hour and a half away from Jennifer's last known location. The information alone would seem to put him out of question as being involved in her disappearance, except that it then showed that evening he went out and traveled to Hartford, Connecticut, some 15 minutes away from his home. Once again, nothing particularly unusual in that, except that the cell tower pings seem to point out that he stopped at some 30 or more locations in and around town in a very apparently random pattern. It was suspicious enough, considering his relationship with Jennifer, that investigators began canvassing the area and obtaining surveillance camera footage from the locations and times matching those stops from his phone history. It showed Fotis and Michelle Traconis going about town, pulling over and dropping bags of trash here and there. Many, many bags of trash. It seemed.
So what I want to say is this guy had a very good lawyer, and I want to ask the chat. Why do you believe that he was that the suspect was acting very helpful to the police in reference, oh, here, you can have my phone and all the stuff like that? Why do you think that he was acting helpful, but his attorney was acting like a tyrant? Give me an idea. Why do you believe that why would he do that? Or why y'all believe he would do that? Like, I want to see if have y'all been paying attention to what I've been saying on these cases. What makes you what would make him be like, yeah, sure, y'all can have my phone. Yeah, sure, I'm willing to help you. But then his own attorney is saying, no, you need to go get a warrant for that. No, we're not doing this and all that stuff like that. Why would you think that would happen? Take a big guess. You're getting hot, Miss Jalen. You're getting hot. Oh, hold on. Hold on 1 second, guys. I had to restart it again. And pull it up. All right. Hold on 1 second, guys. I might have to refresh if y'all hear me. Oh, okay, there we go. I was about to say, like, what is going on? Why is it acting this way? What is going on here? Yes, let me refresh real quick. Yes, technical difficulties. All right, is it better? Is it better? Put a 1 in the chat if it's better. It was kind of like freezing up a little bit. I didn't like that. Put a 1 in the chat if it's better. Is it better? Can y'all hear me? It's moving a whole lot better. Let's see. Just a 1, type of 1. Okay, thank you, Miss Jalen. Thank you. All right, excellent, excellent. All right, so y'all have really good, and Paul and all y'all hit it on the case. Definitely Paul, definitely Bruce, all y'all are absolutely correct. That was a yeah, it's the weather. Yeah, you're right, Miss Jalen. It's the weather over here because it started raining and stuff like that. So it's doing too much. It's doing too much. Oh, I'm not playing it right now, Bruce. I paused it. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's the reason why they did it. That was very strategic on his lawyer's side, is because it's to paint him as he's innocent to the public eye, and that he was very forthcoming and willing to help the detectives, even though he had no intentions of giving any of that information or his phone to these detectives. That was literally a play that him and his lawyer was doing on the system. Mind you, y'all seen that house, right? These are folks that got money. I mean, they literally have 9 bathrooms, right? I think one of the reasons why he was really upset is because, his ex-wife got the house and the kids. So he has a good lawyer. He has a decent lawyer. He don't have no wrangly dangly public offender. He has an actual defense attorney who knows all the tricks and tools and how to play this for their client, how to play this in court for their client. And that was the reason why. Because now you give the illusion to give the detectives off your trail. Oh, he's a forthcoming guy. He's a good guy. But you had no intentions of giving that phone or anything to them. That's why you made your attorney look like the bad guy. All right, let's go on. Good job, everyone. Good job.
Seems that he would go out of his way to pick high-traffic locations to drop the bags. In one instance, Fotis can be seen in video propping up what would turn out to be a WeatherTech cargo liner sized for a Chevy Suburban against a building, while Traconis leaned out of the door of the truck and slipped something white and rectangular through the grate of a storm drain at the curb. Police and investigators swarmed into Hartford, and with the help of local police, they were able to recover the contents of the trash receptacles and fish out what had been dropped into the storm drain. What they found under the grate was an old FedEx mailing envelope containing 2 old, out-of-date license plates whose numbers had been modified. Those 2 license plates had once been registered to Fotis Doulos. Trash bags were recovered across the area, and what investigators found within them was horrific evidence. Bloody rags, cleaning items, zip ties, and finally, pieces of women's clothing, bloody, torn, and cut. And at least in one bag, rubber gloves were found, bloody on the outside, and with every chance that someone's DNA could be on the inside. It was all sent off for testing at the state's police laboratories. They would come back with confirmation that the blood was from Jennifer Doulos. There was no sign of Jennifer, though. No corpse had been found, and no murder weapon either. If Fotis and Traconis had been disposing of evidence in the disappearance and probable murder of Jennifer Doulos, then what were they to make of the alibi for most of the day that Fotis had based on where his phone was? Once again, surveillance footage from security cams provided the answer. Investigators watched hours of footage offered up by Jennifer's neighbors, and they saw what might have been the explanation. Videos showed that around 8:05 a.m., Jennifer could be seen driving her Suburban into the driveway of her home, returning from dropping off the kids at school. She would not leave again until 10:25 a.m., but the driver could not be seen. This would have been far past the time she would have needed to leave to make her doctor's appointment in New York. At 10:29 a.m., the Suburban was seen heading southbound on Weed Street, leaving the area and apparently heading to a park where the vehicle would eventually be found abandoned. At 10:38 a.m., Jennifer's phone rings one last time from a spot near 200 Lapham Road in New Canaan. At 11:09 a.m., her phone completely leaves the Verizon network. At 11:12 a.m., Fotis is seen on camera driving down Merritt Parkway, leaving the area where the Suburban would be found. He is seen driving an older Toyota Tacoma pickup truck, one owned by an employee of his company, Powell Guminade. That truck, now that they know to look for it, had been seen driving into and out of the area of Jennifer's home on 3 occasions, and on 3 occasions would be seen pulling into Fotis's driveway that morning.
So what's so sad about it is that it seemed that he had someone who worked for his company spy on his ex-wife and then also use his vehicle to do the actual crime, get rid of her vehicle. I think that he did definitely, her body is not whole, right? And he was very strategic to go to many different places, neighboring townships. Like I told you, that's how New York is. Like, because a lot of people believe when they think about New York, they only think about the city. New York City is an island. It's surrounded by water. New York State is huge, 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 huge. So there's a lot of township, right? There's a lot of little cities within New York City. Shoot, we have our own little island right in the middle between Manhattan and Queens, right? It's a little island that people live there, that they have to literally jump on this little, I forgot what it's called, the Trammax or something, the ferry thing, and fly in the air to get to whether or not they want to go to the city or fly in the air to get there. They have to use a drawbridge if they want to take their vehicle off their little island to get on actual New York City, Manhattan. Like, people don't understand how crazy New York City can get. But it just seemed like he did enlist other people to help. He seemed like he enlisted his coworker to help. He used his coworker vehicle. This is bad. This is really bad. And really sad. Because, like, I'm just thinking about it. Like, you had 5 children with this woman. You take their mom away from them like this.
Is that vehicle turning into the driveway for Jefferson Crossing?
Yes, that vehicle is turning the driveway for Jefferson Crossing.
Okay, is this the video clip you sent to the police?
That's one of them.
I'm going to stop it there briefly, sir. Is this the video that you sent to the police as well?
That is one of them, yes.
And why did you send this clip?
Well, as I said before, what we knew on the...
I'm going to hit play.
In July, what
Manhattan.
we knew, based on the media reports, it was different.
Objection. The fact that there were these reports is one thing, but now it's getting to what he learned in the media.
Well, the question was essentially, what's the reason you sent these videos to the police?
Based upon that interaction I had with Fotis on the 26th, based upon the fact of what we had learned from the media at that point in time, the visits to North End, I had 2 cars leaving in tandem, which was not consistent with normal vehicle movement patterns.
And you lived at that residence for how many years at that point?
Now, that's not my new
9
channel.
years.
I do have another channel.
You
where
were
I talk
familiar
about
with the
other
vehicles.
things. I'll let you guys know about that
Yes.
and give y'all the
Do
link.
you recognize
later
this
on,
vehicle?
but I'll still put things
The red
together.
truck.
Yeah, that's Pavel's truck.
And what about the vehicle behind it?
Well, that vehicle is that's a GMC Yukon XL. That was a rental.
A neighbor of Fotis's would notice something on his own security camera recordings that seemed terribly out of place. On that day, on 3 occasions, smoke came from different chimneys at Fotis's house. Temperatures that day were very spring-like, in the mid-50s to low 60s with very little wind, not the kind of weather that you would have someone lighting up fireplaces for warmth. Investigators quickly matched the arrivals and departures of the Tacoma pickup truck with each of the smokestack events. Powell was quickly interrogated, and in exchange for immunity, he told them that Fotis had borrowed the old truck from him. When Fotis had returned it to Powell that afternoon, he brought it back completely cleaned, inside and out. He also advised Powell that he needed to sell it quick while the truck still had some value. The following day, he told Powell that he needed to make sure to change out the seats in the truck since they were so worn out. When Powell said there were no good replacement seats for the truck at any local junkyard, Fotis told him to go and remove the seats from a wrecked Porsche Cayenne that he owned and replace them with those. He needed to do so in a hurry, though, and dispose of those seats. Investigators now had plenty to go on when it came to building their case that Fotis had committed murder. A scenario emerged wherein that Fotis had entered the area on a bicycle and laid in wait for Jennifer to come home. Once she had arrived, he snuck into the garage and attacked her by surprise once the garage door was closed. He killed her and then did a thorough job of cleaning up the crime scene. He then drove the Suburban away and abandoned it at the park where he had stashed the Toyota Tacoma. Investigators had motive, opportunity, and a lot of physical evidence, but they did not have a body. The bloody clothing came back with her DNA on it, and there was no way anyone could have survived losing that much blood. She was dead, and there was no questions in their mind as to who did it. But his phone records showed that his phone had been at his house for the time in question, and the phone records showed an incoming call had been taken on it during that critical period. Investigators immediately figured that Traconis had held the phone that day and had taken the call to cover for him. Except when she was brought in for questioning, she said that she hadn't done that and that her own phone records backed up her story of taking her daughter to school and then making a couple of stops in town. On June the 1st of 2019, Fotis Dulos and Michelle Traconis were arrested and charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence in connection with the case. Both pled not guilty and made bail. The investigation and the search for Jennifer's body continued. 2 men walking the property of a private hunting and fishing club in Connecticut one cold spring day came across something completely out of place. They would later tell police they had found a trench dug in an out-of-the-way place on the tract of land that was about 6 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 3 feet deep, covered with a set of grill grates. Inside the trench was a blue tarp and 2 large, unopened bags of lime. Later that month, one of the 2 men who had come across the trench had begun wondering what they had stumbled across and did it have a connection with the disappearance of that woman in New Canaan. They went back to the spot, but this time found that it had been filled in and covered over with leaves and brush for concealment. He immediately contacted the authorities. Teams carefully uncovered the spot, but found no corpse within. The man also told them that he had been told that one of the founders of the club, a former member, had been asking about getting access to the property just before the trench had been found. The man, he said, had been given a key to the property, but had given up seeking membership not long after the woman's disappearance. The man, he told them, was Kent Mawhinney, a local attorney, one who had been a longtime friend and business associate of Fotis Dulos. On August the 13th, Michelle Traconis was brought back in and interviewed.
He planned this for a very long time, and you see that he has so many other people that's involved. He involved 2 co-workers and a girlfriend, or someone that if she's not his girlfriend, definitely someone who was smashing. He involved them all into taking out his wife. Like, this is 100 down. Like to me, I think he should get capital murder. But yeah, like, this is first degree murder. It's just really sickening because they still haven't found the body, but they found all this stuff that leads to that they were going to bury the body. I think that someone probably convinced him not to do it, and they probably burnt the body, because you remember they said that they seen him lighting up the fireplace during spring, and that happened on 3 different occasions that happened at the house when he was borrowing his coworker's truck. He could have burnt her. He could have burnt her. That's really sad, man. Let's go on.
In the interrogation of Troconis, they found that she admitted to seeing Mawhinney in the 4 group's office within the home that day, and that he had apparently taken a call from an old friend of Fotis's from back home in Greece. She said she didn't know much more about it than that, though. Investigators realized there was a scenario wherein Mawhinney had held the phone at the residence that morning while Troconis went out, providing not just an electronic alibi for Fotis, but also reinforcing it by taking an international call from Fotis's friend. Had the men not come to police about the found trench and the story mentioning Mawhinney's name, no one could have reasonably placed him at the Fotis home on that day. They had found the linchpin that would pull the plot completely apart. On January 7, 2020, police moved out and served arrest warrants on Fotis Doulos, Michelle Troconis, and Kent Mawhinney. Fotis would be charged with murder, while Troconis and Mawhinney would face conspiracy to commit murder charges. All 3 would be charged with destruction of evidence. Bond for Fotis was set at $6 million, and he was released later that day. He was scheduled to return to court on February the 28th of 2020. Troconis would also post bail with a return date of August the 6th, 2020. Mawhinney would make bail in October of 2020. On February 28th, Fotis Doulos' new girlfriend, Anna Curry, showed up at court and told Fotis' lawyers that he would be following along in a few minutes. Time went by, and Fotis never arrived. With court looming, his attorneys attempted to call him, but to no avail. Officers were dispatched to his home to find out what had happened. They came across him, sitting asphyxiated in the passenger seat of his car inside the home's garage. Officers immediately dragged him outside and began performing life-saving measures on him as the ambulance arrived on the scene. Inside the car, a note would be found that read, "I refuse to spend even an hour in jail for something I had nothing to do with." There had been talk that on his court date, bail could have been rescinded, sending him back to jail to await trial. Fotis would be airlifted to a nearby hospital and then on to one that had a higher level of trauma care. He would die 2 days later. At the time of his death, he had been facing bankruptcy with nearly $7 million in debt and had been trying to sell the home he had built and was living in. The main suspect in the disappearance and the assumed murder of Jennifer Doulos could no longer stand trial. It would be 4 years, almost to the day, that Michelle Troconis would see her own case come to trial and stand for her part in the conspiracy. Over 27 days of testimony, prosecutors showed the video evidence of Troconis and Fotis disposing of the trash bags in Hartford. They even showed footage of an apparently homeless man sorting through one of the trash bags before the police arrived. The homeless man, when later interviewed, said that he found 2 small pillows in the trash, but put them back because they were covered with blood. 2 camping pillows had been identified as missing from Jennifer's garage. Prosecutors then brought out the items found within the trash bags retrieved from around town. Items they would prove to not just belong to Jennifer, but were also covered in her blood and sometimes the DNA of Fotis Doulos as well.
Well, actually, it wouldn't be life insurance. He wouldn't get life insurance. He wanted the home. They said that he was $7 million in debt. He wanted the home. He was going to sell the home for at least
the
$20
item
million.
that you pulled out of the garbage of Albany and Green on May 30th, 2019?
It is.
Now, with respect to, first of all, what is it?
That's a bra.
The back of the bra is collapsed. Was it like that in the condition when you found it?
That's exactly how we found it.
And with respect to the front of the bra, is there a cut going down the middle of it?
There is.
Approximately where, please?
Right in the center of the bra.
Just if you can, sir, if you could point out. And would that be a little off center on the left side, over the left breast area?
Yes.
Sir, if you could take a look at the screen behind you. Is that a photograph of the shirt that you took out of the garbage on May 30th, 2019?
It is.
Is that the back or the front?
I believe that's the back.
Do you wish to say? You can continue.
The front was cut.
The front was cut? Show the next picture, please. Thank you. Sir, is that the front?
It is.
I'm going to show you.
Yes, Bruce. I think that he unalived her because he was angry with what she was able to get for the divorce, the simple fact that she did divorce him, the simple fact that she got full custody of the kids. And like I said, he wanted to sell the house. The kids was living at the house with the mom. Yeah, it's really sad, but I'm just looking at her shirt. Her shirt is so soaked in her blood, like whatever he did to her, she bled out very, very quickly, fast. Because it seemed like most of her blood is literally her shirt. Like her shirt was supposed to be a gray striped shirt. You see how her shirt almost looked black? That's how much she bled out. Like this is some wicked stuff. Wicked, wicked stuff, man.
May, sir, can you please point to where the shirt is cut?
It's almost right down the center of the shirt.
Are there any buttons or zippers on the shirt?
No.
Sir, do you recognize this item?
I do.
What is it?
That's exhibit number 502A. That's what was a clear poncho with blood-like substance.
It was a clear poncho?
Yes.
So with respect to the poncho that I'm holding, up here on, I don't know if you can see it, sir, but on the top it looks like there are cuts.
Yes.
Was that in that condition when you seized it that day?
Yes.
And there are, I guess, numerous markings and things on this. Do you know what that is?
No.
Do you know which part it was from?
No, when we took it out, a lot of it was wet, so it was just leaking everywhere.
Thank you.
In effect, because Fotis could not stand for trial, to prove Troconis was involved in conspiracy to commit murder, prosecutors had to make a strong case that Jennifer had been murdered, that Fotis had in fact killed her, and that Troconis had worked in conjunction with Fotis to plan it out and cover up the murder. Numerous witnesses were brought in to testify about the relationship Troconis had not just with Fotis but with his children, and how her relationship with the man's ex-wife was. They painted a picture of a woman, a mother herself, fiercely loyal to her man and angry about how he was being treated in the custody battle. Those would pale in comparison, however, to the strength of one piece of evidence secured not from Jennifer's home, but from the home shared by Fotis and Troconis, written scripts the two had made to keep their stories straight. Within, the two had worked out the details not of the murder plot, but instead of how their alibis would be structured and how they could cover for one another. If one was supposed to be somewhere at a specific time, the other would be able to verify it. And in all the initial questioning, they held to those scripts almost verbatim. In the end, after closing arguments were made, after Michelle Troconis declined to take the stand in her own defense, the jury came back from their deliberations on Friday, March the 1st, 2024, and delivered a judgment of guilty on all counts, Sentencing will follow later, as will the trial of Kent Mawhinney. It is cold comfort that the murder of Jennifer Dulos has been solved. Her 5 children are now living with their grandmother, and they will carry a heavy, heavy burden they never asked for the rest of their lives. If you found this case compelling, don't forget to like the video, comment down below your take on it, and please subscribe to the channel.
I'm glad that some justice was served, really, because like this is sad. They literally planned everything for the beginning, and it seemed like they planned everything like within months of the process of when they were going through their divorce. He was plotting this with the girlfriend and everything like that. He had too many hands in it. Too many people was involved. He had alibis beyond alibis. He had people like that's some real horrible thing, and it's really sad because you think about it. This man did not even care about his own children, right? He's sitting up there smiling while he's leaving the courtroom and stuff, and he's thinking that he's gonna get away with it. He done watched, like we said, he done watched too much CSI, House of Cards, Damages. Who knows what this man have watched? But we definitely know that he was literally playing the system. He was manipulating the system. He had a good lawyer to help him manipulate the system. And he had loyal people that was willing to do exactly what they needed him to do, say, and confirm any alibis that he put up to it. But he did not care about his children. You can't tell me that he cared about his kids. You can't even make that argument to me that any of this was about his kids. It don't have nothing to do with his kids. It was all about his ego. It was all about his ego. Yeah, he did. No, he did pass away. He did pass away. That's why he wasn't able to his crime. You know what I'm saying? That's why he wasn't able to stand trial. But his girlfriend was, and she was just as much as included, because like how shameful of a woman you could be to go along with this type of thing, for you to do this type of harm to another fellow woman, especially a mom, right? And then you think that you was gonna live happily ever after with this guy and his money. Like, girl, I don't got no respect for you. I have no respect for you whatsoever. It's just sad. It's just truly sad, the whole situation. Like I said, prayers go out to those kids, because just to know that you lose both your parents, and why you lost both your parents, how that happened, is like, that's a lot of trauma that they're gonna have to deal with, even just for the family. Let's think about the community though, right? Because like I said, they're in an affluential town. Okay, like I said, I know where that area is. They're in a very affluential town. This is a close-knit community. Is wealth over there, right? The kids go to the same school. The kids go to the same church, churches, roller skating ring. They're in the same sports. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's hard. That's really hard. Like, you literally destroy a community, with things like that, right? It's not good. It's not good. Like, I'm sad. I'm really saddened about it. But I definitely wanted to listen to that, because that is my, it is my state. It's not too far from where I live. So it is what it is. All right, guys. So I'm going to let you good folks go. Thank y'all so much for rocking out with me. I hope you enjoyed the 3 cases that we had today. I will not be coming back. I'll try because I'm going away. I'm actually about to go pack my bags. So, I'm going to be on a flight out. But I'll try to come back at least Friday. I'll try to come back Friday to give you a live stream. But if not, don't hold it against me, because, I said I'm out and about. Okay? Make sure you're hitting the like button while you're, exiting out. Truly appreciate it. Share, share with anyone who's interested in this content. I truly appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon.